A very beautiful morning. Birds are sitting on a tree and feeding their babies. With the start of the new year, families get holidays so they can visit their parents or cousins. A woman inside an apartment is showing a video of a baby to her husband, which seems to be very adorable. The lady says to her husband, "Did you see how he said mama and crawls towards his mummy? He is a very smart kid." Both of them gets happy after watching the video and keep praising the child while on the other hand, a lady was cooking for them. The girl's name is Jia Han, and she is a 32-year-old unemployed woman living with her parents. The woman with the phone comes to Jia and shows her the video and says, "Look how cute my grandson is." Jia tells her mother in a sarcastic tone, "Mom, you have seen this video almost 100 times, and I also know what the kid is going to say or do next in this video." Jia's mother replies to her that I love my grandson so much that even if I keep looking at him the whole day, I will not get bored. While Gia and her mother are talking, her father takes advantage of this situation and eats some of the food that she was cooking. Seeing this, Gia gets angry and says that if you people cannot help me, then at least don't trouble me. Her father asks her why is she getting so angry. The food which is being prepared is for eating. Hearing this, Gia stops and says, "We are 3 people. Why should I do all the work here? Why don't you guys do something?" Gia's mother tells Gia that, "First of all, you are living in our house. We did not ask you for this, and be thankful that we are not taking rent from you. If you feel bad, then find a boy for yourself and marry him. There is no need to live with us." Gia's father also agrees with her mother and says, "Your mother is right. If you hate us so much, then find a boy for yourself." Saying this, Gia's father kisses her mother while she says, "Honey, please don't do this in front of her." Meanwhile, the doorbell rings, and as soon as Gia opens the door, a child comes running and hugs Gia's mother. The child who hugged Gia's mother is her younger sister's daughter, who had come to meet them with her husband. Parents ask them about their journey and welcome them. Gia's sister replies that her legs are hurting, so her husband, who was holding a baby, says, "Don't worry, babe. I will give you a massage." Gia interrupts them and says, "Little sister, it is nice to meet you after a long time." She gives her apron to her and says, "I prepared this flower apron just for you. Isn't it nice?" Jimin responds, "I'm also happy to see you too, my sister. But this apron looks great on you as always. Now all you have to do is get married this year." Gia smiles and tells Jimin again that, "Please, sister, wear this. I am asking you nicely. Otherwise, I will show my other side too, which won't be good for you." Suddenly, mother punched Gia hard on the face and said, "Just shut up." Gia angrily shouts at her mother and says, "Mom, why are you hitting me? I have spent my whole day cooking. Isn't it fair to change our shifts now? You are taking Yimin's side just because you met her after a very long time?" Yimin's husband Jinu jumps into their conversation and says, "Why are you bothering her? She is tired and pregnant with her 3rd child." Gia's father says this is a very happy occasion. We should celebrate and then order Gia to set the dining table. Seeing her family's behavior towards her, Gia comes out of the house and sits in the park and starts smoking in anger and thinks how rude her parents are. When she was sitting in the park and smoking, a guy eating packed chicken came to her and said, "You have not changed at all." Gia turns to the man and stares at him as she finds him very unusual because he was eating in the smoking zone. She asks him about his name because she didn't recognize him. The guy replies, "I'm Minchul Jin. I live next door, you childhood friend. I usually used to wear headphones, that's why you didn't recognize me." Gia thinks for some time. She tries to recognize him, and after a while, she finally remembers him. She tells him, "You are Jin, the gamer boy from our school." Jin asks, "Have I changed so much that it took you so long to remember me?" Gia replies, "Yes, I am having some difficulty in recognizing you because you have changed a lot. And you tell me who eats in the smoking area?" Jin answers, "There is no such rule that we cannot eat in the smoking area. And anyway, I am tired of eating home-cooked food." Gia starts thinking after hearing Jin, what kind of a boy is he? Jin was very shy in his early days, and because they lived in the same building, so they were childhood friends, but not by choice. So even calling him a friend is a scratch too. There is a boy in every class who does not make friends with anyone. Jin was that boy. He never talked to anyone, even those who lived in his building or around his house. After thinking for a while, Gia recognizes him completely. Now she again starts thinking that she is the black sheep in her whole family because she is 32 years old, unemployed, and unmarried woman. On the other hand, She was wondering how much the life of a bastard like Jin had changed. Maybe this is what city life is like, which is why a boy like Jin becomes a human being. Minchel Jin has become an assistant manager in a well-known software company at the age of 32 and looks decent. Overall, he was living a good life. On the other hand, there is Jia Han, who lives with her parents and sometimes gets scolded for even breathing at home, but she does not consider anyone as important as herself. She is a very lazy and arrogant girl who has no aim in life except getting married. Both are completely different from each other. Jia thinks that this can't be possible. How did a rude boy from her school become more successful than her? It would be better for her to bite his tongue and die. Then suddenly Jin asks Jia, "By the way, how is your life going?" Jia looks at him with nervous eyes and Jin asks her again, "Why are you scared? I just asked you how your life is going." Jia replies with a fake smile, "Nothing special. Tell me, what are you doing these days?" And then she slowly says to herself, "Can't he understand by looking at my condition how my life is going?" Jin replied casually that nothing special. I just work all day long. And if I get time, then I play games on my gaming console, sleep and take bath. This is my daily routine, Jia said to him. Your life is going pretty well. Jin scratches his head and says, I think so too, but my parents think differently. For the past few years, my parents have been pressuring me to get married. They says that this is the right time for me to get married. But marriage is not something I can do alone. You need another person for it too. And for this, they want me to register myself on some matrimonial service website. The registration fee for these kind of websites is $5,000. You know how many games I can buy with this amount of money. Hearing this, Jia says, your family is after you like crazy for marriage. Jin tells Jia that I think your family is not after you for marriage yet. Jia lies and says, yes, my condition is not as bad as yours. On the other hand, she keeps thinking how badly her family is after her for marriage. Jia thinks for a while, and then laughingly tells Jin that since we both are screwed, we should marry each other. This could be a good option for both of us. Looking at Jin, she further says that since our lives have been ruined due to not getting married is the only option for both of us to get our lives back on track. Jin looked at Jia in surprise because, apart from the fact that they studied together in the same school, they were complete strangers to each other. Seeing Jin's expressions, Jia understands that he is confused by her words, so she tells him to listen to her first and then think about it. She further says, look, you are single, I am also single. If we both get married, then it will be a win-win situation for both of us. Hearing this, Jin becomes even more tense. Seeing this, Jia laughs falsely and says, don't be serious, I was just joking. This much is acceptable between friends. That was just a joke between friends. Jin leaves the conversation without giving Jia any reply. He then asks Jia's father for permission to marry his daughter. Her father happily gives his permission for them to marry. After getting permission from their families, they marry each other. Both of them go abroad to celebrate their honeymoon. The married couple enjoyed on the beach with friends, and then they return back to the hotel. After taking a shower, Jin comes out of the toilet in a bathrobe, scratches his head, and says that getting married is a great thing. Who knows, life can suddenly change like this. And then he asks Jia if she was not going to take a bath. Jia replies, first she will finish her drink and then she will bath. She finishes her drink, takes a bath, and comes out in her bathrobe. Both of them sit on their respective beds. They spend their whole day exploring new places, and now comes their first night of marriage. Jia is sitting on the bed with her passport in her hand, thinking that finally she is married. Then suddenly she starts having hallucinations. She feels that all this is not true because she is in another country with a stranger, so she pinches herself to see if this is true or not. When she pinched herself and felt the pain, she realized that it was true that she was now a married woman. But it all still felt very strange to her because everything happened so quickly. Jia turns and looks at Jin, who is struggling to take off his clothes, and questions herself if she married this guy. Then suddenly Jia's eyes fall on Jin's ripped body, and she gets very impressed by it. She slaps herself to snap out of it, since she was getting distracted by looking at his body. Jia sits with her back towards Jin, so that he cannot see her expressions. But still, Jin feels something is not right with her. So he asks her, are you okay? Jia answers, yes, I am fine, just feeling a little sleepy. Jin replies, if you are feeling sleepy, then go to sleep. Gia then turns to Jin, who is looking for something in his bag, so she asks him, "What are you trying to do?" Jin replies, "I'm looking for something that will make our first night better, but I can't find it." Strange, isn't it? Gia blushes and asks, "What have you packed? Is there anything special?" Then suddenly she remembers that he is talking about making the first night special. She says to herself, "What is that bastard looking for?" Gia starts having wrong thoughts about whether he will do something wrong to her and gets scared. She suddenly shouts, "Don't come close to me. I am not ready yet. I need some time." Jin looks at Gia in surprise and says, "Ready for what? I have just want to offer you earplugs." He further says, "I don't usually snore, but sometimes when I get very tired, I start snoring." And then he gives the earplugs he was holding in his hand to Gia. She looks at plugs in surprise because she was thinking about something else. While Jin lies down on his bed and says, "I'm sleepy," and bids her good night and goes to sleep under the blanket. Within a few seconds, Jin starts snoring loudly and falls asleep. Gia looks at him. What was I thinking about him? Later, she also goes to sleep after putting in the earplugs. On the second day of their honeymoon, Gia was sitting on her bed with clothes scattered around her, confused about what she should wear to look good. She was looking for something that was fashionable and attractive enough, and at the same time it should be comfortable and mundane also. Suddenly, Jin comes out of the washroom saying, "I am ready. How much time do you need, Gia, to get ready?" Gia turns to Jin and yells angrily at him because Jin is dressed so poorly. She asks him what kind of man is he? Is he from the same planet or some kind of alien? And the worst thing about Jin is that he doesn't know what the problem is. She can't believe her eyes that he is wearing socks with sandals. Jin replied, "What difference does it make? You don't know how comfortable these clothes are, and another thing, no one is going to notice them." Gia says, "I have already noticed them. Everyone will definitely notice them, and I can't see you like this." Gia holds his ear and takes him for shopping. After reaching the mall, Jin selects some clothes for himself while Gia stands outside the changing room while Jin tries on clothes. Gia thinks she has brought him for shopping, but she also has no knowledge of fashion either. Gia hasn't stepped out of the house for many years, but she is confident that whatever clothes Jin wears now will look better on him than what he wore before. Then after a while, Jin comes out of the changing room and asks her how he is looking. This time, Jin comes wearing even worse clothes than before. Seeing them, Gia gets very angry. She curses herself and says how stupid she is to have brought a man for shopping who has no manners of dressing up. Gia angrily says, "If you are a human, then at least learn to dress like humans." And then she quickly brings some clothes she likes and gives them to Jin. After some time, he comes out wearing them. Jin looks at himself after wearing Gia's choice of clothes and asks her if he looks good or not. Gia confidently replied that, "Yes, you look great. You should wear such clothes. And if you listen to me, you will always look good." Hearing this, Jin goes to the billing counter and asks for 7 sets of the same clothes he is wearing. Seeing Jin's these stupid actions, Gia scratches her hair and says, "Stop it, you crazy man." Jin asked her, "But you said I look good in these clothes, so I am buying them." Gia sighed and said, "What kind of life are you living? I like them, but you don't need to buy the same sets of clothes." Gia asks Jin to wait there while she goes to get more clothes for him. When Gia is looking for clothes for him, then Jin's eyes fall on Lady's swimming suit. So he asks Gia, "We have that boat ride next, right? Since you have chosen clothes for me, I will choose a swimsuit for you." She nodded, blushed, and gave her consent. And then Jin also bought swimsuit for Gia in return. Both of them leave for the beach after shopping. While going on the way, Gia keeps thinking that just like Jin wore the clothes selected by her, she will have to wear the suit selected by him. She looks at Jin as they walk and wishes that he had picked out a nice swimsuit for her too. After reaching at the beach, the two go to their respective changing room and wear swimsuits chosen by Jin. Gia was still skeptical about the clothes as she knew her husband's choice, which is always unusual, but she took the risk and tried them. As soon as Gia opens her bag, she is stunned to see the clothes. She spends some time thinking about the kind of person her husband is, but then finally comes out wearing those clothes because she has no other choice. As soon as Jin saw Gia wearing a full-body swimsuit, he asked, "Do you like it? These are nice, right?" Gia was very angry with Jin because he chose those instead of choosing a 2-piece swimsuit, and now everyone was making their fun. Seeing Gia getting angry, Jin explains his viewpoint that he was looking through the catalog earlier, And this suddenly came across to him that it will keep us safe even in cold water and reduce water friction, so it will be really comfortable to walk around in. Jin feels very proud of his choice, as if he has accomplished something great. Hearing this, Jia thinks she has married a madman. Jia lovingly tells him that Jin, we are married and on our honeymoon. Just look around and see what kind of clothes people are wearing. At least you could copy them. Pointing at the people roaming around there, she says, how different we are looking from these people. Why do you think everyone is wearing things like that? Jin replies quickly and says, perhaps those people might be feeling hot. Jia responds to him, you are absolutely right, Jin. People here have taken off their clothes because it is so hot. I think we are the only people who are not doing that. Jia screams in anger as she cannot express how embarrassed she feels, and how will she enjoy the beach now when everyone is staring at her. But still, Jin somehow convinces her and takes her for a boat ride. While the two of them are enjoying the boat ride, Jia realizes that Jin's choice may not look good, but it is comfortable to wear, protecting them from the cold water and any skin rashes. After the boat ride, both of them have lunch on the beach and take a lot of photos for memories. They spend their whole day in these activities, and then in the evening, both of them go for a walk on the beach. After walking for a while, Jia sits down on the sand and checks her phone to see what else they can do to make their trip more memorable. Seeing Jia sitting there, Jin thought she might be tired, so he asked if she wanted to go back to the hotel to rest. Jia yells at him and asks, do you know how expensive this trip is? If we want to get the most out of every penny, we have to do a lot. While she was telling him all this, Jin noticed that Jia's sandal straps had caused a wound on her foot, so he asks about it. Jia says, please do not bother, it's nothing. It is just a mark caused by my heels. Jin insists her that this wound might hurt her, and then he sits down and asks Jia to climb on his back. She gets surprised by his concern for her. Jin asks her again, it hurts by just looking at it, so don't think too much. Just climb up. With a little hesitation, Jia climbs on his back. Jin grabbed Jia's sandals and lifted her on his back and walked towards the hotel. Jia, sitting on his back, politely asks, am I not heavy? Jin replies, honestly, you are really not heavy. It would be a good workout for me. Hearing Jin's words, Jia thought he was making fun of her, so she tried to strangle him in a playful way. Jin urged her to loosen her grip and said, I'm serious. You have just the right amount of weight for a good workout. I'd say you're almost perfect. Then Jia slowly loosens her grip and rests her chin on his shoulder and starts thinking, how long has it been since she have been on someone's back? Being on someone else's back is more comforting than she thought. Suddenly, Jia takes her mouth near his ear and blows air into it, due to which Jin stumbles, and he asks her, what are you doing? If you have any complaint, then tell me. Don't bother me like this. Jia smiles slightly but doesn't reply to him, and thus both of them reach their hotel fighting and flirting. After reaching the hotel at night, Jia lies down on her bed and starts checking her phone to see the photos she has taken. Then Jia suddenly remembers that a friend of hers who got married 5 years ago had told her that couples fight a lot during their honeymoon. Then Jia thinks it's only been a few days since they got married. Forget the fights. They are having a lot of fun together. She knows she is having a great time, and it has been a while since she had this kind of fun. She was so happy that she wanted to stay there forever. Then suddenly the moment comes to Jia's mind when Jin asked her to climb on his back. This moment was very special for her because something like this had never happened to her before. She feels shy thinking about this moment and hides her face in the pillow. Jia says to herself, how casually he asked me to sit on his back. At that moment, I thought my heart would explode, and I don't understand why his back was so broad. He was quite warm also. And then slowly Jia pulls her face out of the pillow and looks at Jin, who is sleeping on the bed next to her. Jia is surprised to see how Jin is sleeping, as he is sleeping with his eyes blindfolded and drooling continuously from his mouth. Whatever respect or like Jia has developed for Jin, it all diminishes and reaches a very low level when she sees him sleeping. Then she lies down, consoling herself and thinking that her honeymoon was quite good, and quietly falls asleep. After their sweet, bitter honeymoon, Jia and Jin return back to their homes. At Jia's home, her mother had cooked a lot of dishes, and there were boxes lying around in the apartment. Jia found it unusual, so she asked about the food in boxes. Jia's mother reminds Jia that before she married Jin, she promised them that she would move into his apartment, and regarding the food, she said that she is happy with her daughter's marriage, and hence she has cooked these dishes for her as a gift. Jia slowly remembers that before going to honeymoon, they had said something like this to convince her family for the marriage. When she was compiling all this, her parents came to her and said, "My little daughter, go and live a happy life. You can do this." And then they slowly push her out of the house. Now Jia understands why her mother was cooking all these dishes. She packs all her stuff, takes the courier van, and leaves. Jia was very sad to leave her parents. After arriving at Jin's house, she suddenly remembered an old cartoon theme song, which says, "It's okay to make mistakes because you're not an adult yet." She didn't know what it meant at the time, but she understands now. It meant you're completely screwed if you make mistakes as an adult, because her one mistake of asking Jin for marriage completely changed her life. Her parents kicked her out of the house. She only knows a few things about Jin, and now she has to live with him. Jin also has his own conditions for letting Jia stay with him, so he proposes to make a contract between them. There were already many things going on in Jia's life, and now this contract issue made her even more irritable, but she has no other option, so she agreed to this contract. Jia took the contract paper in her hand, and after thinking for a while, she also started mentioning the things she wanted to include in the contract, just like Jin was doing. After some thinking and writing, they both complete their contract. Jin asks Jia if she has completed her contract forms, to which she replies yes. Then Jin says that on the count of 3, the two will show each other their forms. Jin's contract states that Jia must quit smoking, not to worry about the rats in the apartment, and that if she has any questions, she can ask him without hesitation. Jia, on the other hand, mentioned that he has to knock before entering her room, he cannot force her for anything, and thirdly, if he has any issue with her, then he can solve it through communication. After seeing the conditions written by Jin, Jia gets agitated at the point where he mentioned that she should quit smoking, so she asked him how dare he is to ask her to quit smoking when even her father cannot ask her to do so. Jin says he's not asking her to quit smoking immediately, but at least she can cut it down to a moderate level since he doesn't like the smell of smoke. Jia replied that it is very difficult to reduce smoking to moderate levels. If it was that easy, she would have done it already, and then she asked the second point about the mouse. And suddenly she feels that something has touched her feet, so she asked Jin about it. When she looked down, she saw a cat sniffing around her feet. Jin sat down to pet the cat and asked Jia, "Did you see how smart my mouse is? She knows we are talking about her, so she came out." Jia immediately asked Jin what the cat's name was, as he has named it Mouse, because it's very strange that a cat is named Mouse. But Jin didn't find it strange, because his cat liked mice, so he named it Mouse. Jia thought, as per this principle, if he was allowed, he can also name her as a chicken hen, because she liked chicken very much. Jin keeps playing with his cat and asks the cat to say hello to Jia. Then she politely asks, "You never mentioned that you have a cat, Jin." Jin replied, "Because I never thought I would ever have to live with someone." And then he asked Jia if she likes cats or not. Before Jia could reply, Jin saw her expressions and made a sad face of himself and the cat with tears in his eyes so that Jia would not be able to say no to the cat. Under a lot of emotional pressure, Jia says, if she really has to choose, she would love to have a cat. When she said she would love to have a cat, Jin offered her to hold the mouse in her hand if she wanted. Saying that my cat is very nice, Jin handed the cat to Jia's hand. She starts caressing the mouse. While petting Jin's cat, she asks him if she doesn't like cats or if she's allergic to them. Will he then let her stay in his apartment? He replies that at that time, he would have rented a room for her. Jia asked excitedly, "What about the rent then?" Jin casually replies that money isn't a problem for him. He'll manage it. They're married now, so it's all his responsibility. Hearing this, Jia felt that this boy is very serious about marriage. She had not thought so much till now. After the dinner, the two of them write a mutual marriage contract based on their respect for each other. Some of the things about the contract are, do not come inside for at least 10 minutes after smoking. Do not disturb the mouse. Do not enter the other person's room without permission. Always resolve issues through communication. After reading the entire contract, both of them asked each other whether they agree with it or not. Before anyone replies, suddenly Jin says there is one more important thing which they have forgot to mention in the contract form. Gia asks about it. Jin told her that this contract marriage can be terminated at any time by either party, and it is the main point of all the above. Gia agrees with Jin, and then they added this point to the form as well. Both of them then signed the contract in the orthodox manner using their thumb impressions. After signing, Jin says, "Well then, Gia Han, I look forward to living with you." After that, both shook hands. Gia, exhausted from the honeymoon, and now from the journey from her home to Jin's apartment, lay down on the floor of the room she had been allotted. Before going to sleep, she buys furniture and other essentials for her new home, ordering online. After knowing that she had nothing else to do as she would unpack her belongings once the furniture arrived, she lays down on the mattress her mother had given her. While lying down, she stares at the walls and ceiling of the apartment and suddenly becomes sad, thinking that from now this is her home. She feels very lonely and gently hugs the blanket. Gia tells herself that she is married and this is her house now, and Jin Minchul, who lives in the next room, is her husband. On the other hand, Jin was comfortably playing games on his gaming console without any stress. While thinking all these things, Gia slowly falls asleep. Due to the fatigue and stress of the whole day, Gia sleeps, snoring loudly like an animal. The next morning, before Gia wakes up, Jin begins preparing breakfast. The sound of chopping vegetables and the whistle of the cooker from the kitchen wakes up Gia from sleep. Scratching her head, walking sleepingly, Gia asks what with the noise so early. Jin replied, "Sorry, I was making breakfast. Did I wake you up?" Gia's eyes light up on hearing about the breakfast and she becomes happy. She asks Jin to cook quickly because she was hungry and excited to see what he is cooking. Gia is impressed to see Jin working and wonders what kind of a man he is who cooks himself before going to work, and she keeps staring at him and blushing. Jin took all the chopped vegetables and put them in the grinder and ground them into a smoothie. While Gia was still blushing thinking about Jin, then he pours this prepared smoothie into a big mug and places it in front of Gia and says, "Gia, this is the chicken breast veggie smoothie for you." Gia sees the smoothie and asks, "What the hell is this?" Jin replies, "This is breakfast." Gia somehow drinks the smoothie with fear and reluctance without saying a word. As she drunk it, Jin asks her about smoothie, but she still doesn't answer. But Jin gives her a protein bar. She can't control her anger and throws it away and says, "What the hell is this? Did you call this breakfast?" Jin politely replied that protein bars and veggie smoothies are the good options for breakfast, and they are also good for the body. Hearing this, Gia shouts aggressively and says, "I know you have cooked and packed all the delicious food for your lunch, which you are going to take to your work." Jin doesn't say anything after this. He quietly opens his lunchbox and shows it to Gia. It contains 200 grams of chicken breast and 200 grams of sweet potato. Just suddenly remembers that when they first met, he was eating chicken breast, and even on holidays, he would only eat chicken breast. But then she again thought that on the contrary, Jin is a human being also, so he must be eating something other than chicken. So to confirm her doubt, she opens the refrigerator to check. She found that there were water bottles on top, then sweet potatoes, some vegetables, and lots of chicken breasts packed packets. Seeing all this, Gia starts feeling dizzy, and she slowly lies down on the floor. She apologizes to her mother and thanks her for all the food she has cooked for her so far, and says that if she ever gets a chance to eat food cooked by her in the future, she will never complain. She starts scratching the floor with her fingers and says she will be better daughter from now on. Seeing Gia like this, Jin asks, "Is there really nothing you can eat?" Gia replies politely and sarcastically, "Why wouldn't there be anything? The refrigerator is full of healthy food. I already feel healthier by just looking at it." Jin noticed that Gia was not happy with the breakfast thing. Even though she was hungry, she had not eaten a bite, so he asked her to bring breakfast from outside. Hearing this, Gia gets up and asks, Can go out for breakfast alone? Can she really do that? Jin replied, "What do you mean, of course you can go out and eat? For me, this is all I need to eat, but there is no compulsion for you to eat it. Feel free to eat whatever you want." Gia gets up wondering what she was thinking. Just like her mother who used to force her to have breakfast at home with the family, it has become a sort of habit for her. After eating his breakfast, Jin put on his bag and starts to get ready for the work. Seeing Jin getting ready, Gia asks him what he is getting ready for. Jin replied, he has to go out for work. Gia yawns and says, "Bye, have a nice day." Jin gives her a look. Gia asks him if he doesn't feel jealous of her, that she gets to spend her whole day at home while he has to work outside. Jin denied that there is nothing like that. Gia shouted then, "Why are you giving me that look? Soon I will also find a job for myself. Do you still think I will remain unemployed forever, like I was on the first day when we met?" Jin again denied that he did not intend to hurt her feelings in any way. After hearing it, Gia's mood swings. Suddenly she says, "Okay, then have a nice day. Come back soon. See you for the dinner." Jin gets confused by her behavior. He asks if she's sure, if he can leave now. She nodded yes and then smiled sarcastically. As Jin left the apartment, Gia screamed out loud with joy, laughed and said she'll enjoy being unemployed as long as she can. She was happy because she had made up her mind that she would continue enjoying it until her bank account was empty. The scene now shifts to outside of the apartment, where a guy sitting inside his car and adjusting his rearview mirror. Suddenly, someone knocked on his window. He turns and saw Jin standing outside. He greeted him by saying, "It's been a while since I saw you last." The guy's name is Sam, and he is Minchiel's subordinate at work. Jin got into Sam's car, and the two headed to their offices. Sam told Jin that he was really surprised. Before he could finish his sentence, Jin interrupted him and asked what he was surprised about. Sam finishes by saying that he is going to use 10 days of vacation after the holidays. He has already told his boss, so Jin can submit the vacation request form that he has just emailed to him. Sam thanks him because Jin sent some gifts during his holidays and says he is hard to read. Hearing all this, Jin takes a sigh of relief and smiles a little. When Sam saw him smiling, he asked if something happened, as no one had seen him smiling like that. Jin did not reply and kept thinking about Gia, who was waiting for him at home. After being lost in thoughts about Gia for a long time, Jin suddenly says to himself, "It is good that someone is waiting for you at home." Sam replied, "Yes, it is a good feeling," and asked him if someone is waiting for him. Jin replied without thinking, "Yes, my wife is waiting for me." Sam was shocked to hear this, and he suddenly applied the brakes. Car skids. Jin somehow maintains his balance. Sam asked in surprise, "Is he talking about some game?" Then Jin cleared Sam's doubt that he was talking about a real wedding and real wife. Showing his phone, he said, "He got married last week." Suddenly, a girl sitting in the back seat enters the scene and asks who did what to whom. As they reach the office, Sam tells everyone about Jin's marriage, and everyone congratulates him in their own way. Jin thanks them and tries to avoid the situation by saying he bought souvenirs for everyone. Some of his co-workers praise Jin, saying that marriage has already made him a new man. One of Jin's colleagues says that he should have invited them to the wedding. Jin tried to control the situation by saying that it all happened at the last minute. It was a small, simple wedding attended only by family members. They keep asking Jin questions about his vacation and honeymoon. Sam, who is part of the conversation, suddenly remembers that he has a coding assignment from yesterday, so he leaves the conversation midway. He tells himself that the deadline for this task is not today, but he is determined to finish it all by this evening. Suddenly, someone put a hand on Jin's shoulder and said, "Sam, can we talk for a moment?" He completely freaks out. This was the same girl who came with Jin and Sam in their car, Maria. She is Jin's senior manager in the office. She pulls Sam into the storeroom. Maria strangles Sam. Crying and screaming, she asked, "You said you were sure Jin was single. He wasn't dating anyone, so how did he suddenly get married?" Meanwhile, Sam requests her to let go of his neck and let him go. Considering his request, Maria let go of his neck and grabbed his collar and shook him and asked him to tell her how all this happened. Sam loses his senses after this abuse. On the other hand, sad Maria, who was 33 years old, completely lost her control after knowing this because she loved Jin very much. Maria is a genius girl currently working as a senior manager in a tech company, the most beautiful girl in the eyes of her parents. When she won the math Olympiad as a kid, she wanted a guy who was tall, smart, caring, mature, and polite. When she got admission into science high school at the age of 16, her demands decreased. Now she wants a boy who is taller and smarter than her. By the age of 22, Maria had completed her graduation in computer science, but she still hadn't found a guy. She wanted nothing more than a guy she could depend on. Now at the age of 33, she has become the youngest woman to become a senior manager in an organization. Now she just wants a guy for herself, nothing more. A few days ago, she faced the most embarrassing moment of her life when she went on a blind date with a 40-year-old divorced man with 2 kids. Maria faced further embarrassment when this news spread among her coworkers. This incident completely broke her, and she was at the lowest point in her life. She devotes herself completely to work because there is nothing else to do in her life. Once when she is working late at night, she starts yawning due to sleepiness. She tries to sleep, but the thoughts of finding a perfect boy for herself keep coming to her mind. She asks herself what specifically she is asking for. At that moment, Jin suddenly came to her, gave her an energy drink, and asked her to check over his task. She looks towards Jin, and at that particular moment, she made up her mind that Jin Minchul is the perfect guy for her. Maria then shares her feelings with Sam. Sam is a person who likes to set people up with each other. He works part-time as a matchmaker, and in return, he usually gets a delicious meal from his client. Sam was quite confident about Jin and Maria's case, as he was Jin's friend since college days. He felt he knew him very well. So Sam proudly tells Maria that it is a piece of cake for him. She can start looking for wedding venues. He promises Maria that she will marry Jin, and he will help her in this. He completely assures Maria that she will only marry Jin. Now when she suddenly finds out that Jin got married, all her dreams and hopes are shattered. She cannot control her anger, and she attacks Sam. After a while, when Maria's anger subsides, she leaves him. Sam puts an ice pack on his neck and asks himself, how is this possible? How can a guy like Jin get married? He was a man who had no interest in girls. Then Sam shows his biceps to Maria and says that all this is because of following Jin's instructions. Not only does he not look at women, he doesn't look at anyone at all. Maria asks with a sad heart, then how did this happen? Sam consoles Maria and says, don't be sad. It is not that he is the only guy in the world. There are plenty of guys. Upon hearing this, Maria starts crying loudly. In all this commotion, the day ends and Jin leaves for home. While Jin is busy with his phone, Maria and Sam follow him. While they were following him, Sam asked Maria if it was necessary to follow. Maria replied that she wanted to be extra sure with stuff like this. Sam then asks her if she wants to make a bet on Jin's wedding versus the world ending tomorrow. Maria expressed grief and said that the end of the world is more possible than Jin's marriage. Both agree to this, but to confirm their suspicions, they follow him. After walking some distance, Jin reached his apartment, where Gia was sitting outside and smoking a cigarette. Jin says hello to Gia. Maria and Sam, who were following Jin, notice this. Maria is deeply saddened to see Gia and compares herself to her, where she first time sees Gia, who was smoking outside. Jin said hi to Gia, who was in a bad mood, so she didn't reply. Jin got a little scared seeing her reaction. Jin furiously asked what happened. Gia murmurs angrily and asks if he really wants to know what happened. Sam and Maria, who were following them, noticed this. Maria asked Sam, what kind of girl does Jin love? Sam requested her to keep quiet so that they could hear them. Maria accepts his words. They start listening to them again. Gia asked Jin, why are you coming home now? Jin replied that he came straight home after work, is it late, and then asked about the time. Seeing them arguing, Maria asked Sam what is going on. Are they fighting? Before Sam could say anything, Gia tells Jin that technically he isn't late, but he should have at least let her know that he was going to be late so she wouldn't have to wait for him for dinner. Hearing this, Jin asked Gia if she was waiting to have dinner with him. While Jin thought she was still angry at him for the breakfast incident, so she might not want to have dinner with him. Gia pokes Jin and says, isn't it common sense to call her if he has more work or if he's going to be late? Maria and Sam get happy seeing them fighting, but a question arises in their mind whether they are really husband and wife. Then Jin asks Gia if he's allowed to call her. After listening, this Gia looks at him weirdly. Jin further added that he thinks she doesn't like it when he calls her, so he's trying to call her as little as possible. Gia asks him when and what did she do that made him think like this. Jin replies, in 5th grade elementary school, when they didn't even have cell phones, he used to call her on the house phone. Jin further added that at that time, he wanted to play video games with her, so he would always call her home. Gia tries to remember those moments, but she can't remember a thing, and then her mood suddenly changes, and she gets angry at Jin for being late. As she continued to scold Jin, she noticed someone was watching them. She tells this to Jin. Seeing this, Sam and Maria try to hide themselves. Jin turns back to see who is following them, but doesn't find anyone. Then Gia says that maybe she saw something else. Jin then takes out his phone and saves Gia's contact number in his phone and confirms with her again that he can call her now. Gia laughs and confidently says, "Of course you can call," while on the other hand she feels she is getting into some kind of a trap. Sam thanks God that he was not caught by Jin and racks his brain and tries to remember as Jin's wife looks familiar to him. Meanwhile, Jin asks Gia what she wants for dinner. She replies that she can eat whatever he wants her. Time passes, and now the story moves forward. After dinner, Gia was brushing her teeth and thinking that even the monkey at the zoo must be eating better than this, as the dinner menu was chicken breast. Same as breakfast and lunch. Then she tries to recall Jin's fifth-grade thing that he has told her earlier, but she doesn't remember anything. She says to herself that how can anybody remember something that happened 20 years ago? At midnight, Gia sitting on her bed, running fingers through her hair and kept trying to remember about the past. Slowly, she remembers that Jin was the boy she used to hang out with all the time in preschool. They were of the same age and same class and were very close to each other at that time. Their parents go to office together. They were from the same neighborhood. That is why at that time they were teased for being together. Gia's female friends teased her as Mitchell's girlfriend. Teasing from friends was the main reason for their separation. After these teasing incidents, whenever Jin called Gia to hang out together, she always refused. This teasing issue becomes so big for Gia that they even after getting admitted in the same middle school, where Jin tries to make things right between them, and he tried to be friends again, but she always ignored him. Gia feels very embarrassed remembering all this. She starts cursing herself for behaving badly with Jin. Then Gia suddenly checks her phone to see if Jin has called her after their wedding. She found out that he didn't call her even once. He only messaged her twice, which was only about their marriage and vacation. Gia feels bad for being rude to Jin and says to herself that if she had known from school days that he was so serious about her, she would never have done that to him. She felt very cruel and thought of asking him for forgiveness. While on the other room, Jin was checking his phone. He searched something and then sent it to Gia. As soon as the message came through, she checked her phone and smiled when she saw that Jin had sent her a screenshot of the food he ordered online. Gia wonders how Jin knew that chicken feet soup was one of her favorite dishes. Suddenly, she enters Jin's room to find out how he knows so much about her. Seeing Gia, Jin says, "Hey, I thought you were the one who said we shouldn't barge into each other's rooms without permission." Gia replies coldly, "Oh, I forgot to knock." "Excuse me, are you happy now?" After this, Gia showed him the contract form and said that we have clause 5 of our contract in which it is written that if there is any issue, then we will discuss and resolve it. She further said that she has an issue which she wants to resolve. After getting scolded by Gia for being late, Jin orders Gia's favorite food. As soon as she finds out about this, she barges into Jin's room to resolve an issue, which frightens Jin. Jin had also ordered cold beer with the food, which arrived on time. Gia gets happy seeing the dinner menu and forgets what was on her mind. She appreciates Jin and the delivery company because the food was hot and delicious while the beer was as cold as ice. Jin asks her about the problem she wanted to share and confirms if he did something wrong again. Gia says, "Leave all this and tell me whether you have manner or not." Jin gets scared while Gia points to the beer and says, "How can you think it's not okay to drink alcohol with chicken feet?" Jin replied, "So is your issue about food again? Can it wait till morning?" But Gia is Gia. She doesn't listen to him. She keeps saying her own thing, that after their marriage they both never sat together, and there hasn't been any proper conversation between them, so she wants to talk. While saying all this, she opens the beer bottle and pours it in the mug. On the other hand, Jin asks if it is necessary to drink alcohol while eating chicken feet. Gia replies that it is legal to drink while eating in our country, and she also asks Jin if he wants to drink beer with her. Jin clearly refuses. Hearing a straight-out no from Jin for the first time creates an awkward moment for her. She politely asks the reason for it. Jin responded by showing off his muscular biceps and said that this is the reason, and he doesn't want to lose the muscle he has gained. Gia puts her hand on her forehead and says, what was she doing offering alcohol to a man who is surviving on vegetable smoothies and chicken breasts? She further said that they had promised not to force each other to do anything. He can go to his room. He does not need to sit and eat with her. Jin gets up and brings salad and a bottle of water from the fridge, and after placing them on the table, he sits down again and says that he agrees with her that they should spend some time together. She asks if he is going to drink with her. Jin refuses, saying he can't drink, but he can at least clink glasses for her. Jin poured beer into her mug and said, "Let's talk. What do you want to say, Gia?" She smiles in disbelief and takes a long pause before saying anything, as she has no clue what to talk about with him. On the other hand, Jin was very serious to know what was the problem she wanted to share. Gia, completely drenched in sweat and fear, clicked his mug on the Jin's glass and said, "Cheers." Then she started drinking it so that she could buy some more time to think. Just like this, they made up some real and some fake stories and spent hours together. After drinking 2 bottles of beer, Gia suddenly remembers something and laughingly asks Jin if he remembers, or he was just pretending to be so irritable and cold towards her. He denies that he doesn't remember anything. Hearing this, Gia reacts that now he is pretending like he doesn't remember. And then she tells what happened that day. He was about to do something, but then suddenly it turns out he was trembling in anger. Jin mumbles, clarified that he went easy on her that time. Seeing him shivering, Gia laughs and says exactly like this, "You were shivering that day." Recalling the old days, she further said that those were wonderful days when she used to go to his house every day to play video games. It was fun for them to fight with each other over who would be the winner. After completing a level, they would play it again and again. While telling all this, she fell asleep on the dining table and started snoring. Seeing this, Jin asked, "Hey Gia, are you sleeping?" But she did not answer. He started scratching his head in confusion. He gets up and goes to Gia, who is fast asleep. He sees Gia's hairs falling on her face, so he tries to move hairs from her face and put it behind her ear. But before he could do anything, the alarm starts ringing and she gets up screaming loudly out of fear. Jin tries to calm her down by showing her the alarm and saying she'll catch a cold if she sleeps here. He asks her to go to her room to sleep and says he will clean the dining table himself. Gia gets up yawning and thinks alcohol affects her badly, as she hasn't had it for a long time, so her tolerance has gone down. Suddenly, while Jin was cleaning the dining table, she asked him to give her an ear. Jin looks at him confused. Before he can understand anything, Gia snatches his glasses. Jin asks him what she is doing. She doesn't listen to him and wears his glasses herself. After wearing them, she can't see anything. She says, "Jin, your eyesight is terrible." He asks her to give them back and stop messing around, but Gia refuses, saying she will never return them. He tries to catch her, but she runs toward the sofa and climbs on it. She then challenges him to snatch them from her, if he has the courage. He says that she is under influence of alcohol. Gia denies being drunk. She teases him that he looks very ugly without glasses and swings them in the air. He asks her one last time for the glasses, but she tells him that these glasses sucks. She further tells him that he is old, that why he needs them. Hearing this, he climbs up on the couch and bangs his hand on the wall and asks aggressively for the glasses. Gia says, "If you think I will give them back just because you pushed me against the wall." Jin doesn't reply. He just keeps staring at her. But when she sees him so close to her, she becomes nervous and her heart starts beating fast. Jin folds his hand and comes closer to her and says in a deep voice, "Give me my glasses back." Gia starts sweating and gets nervous. Her heartbeat becomes so fast that it can be heard. Gia nervously says, "Hey, you must be really naive. If you think I'll give them back just because you pushed me against the wall?" He stays silent. She understands his silence, so she tries to calm down the situation by keeping quiet. Then Jin says quite aggressively, "I want my glasses back, Gia-han." As soon as she hears this, she puts Jin's glasses back over his eyes and suddenly she runs back to her room. She goes inside her room and closes the door, completely drenched in sweat, panting with fear. She couldn't understand what had happened to her because she had never been this close to a boy before. She asked herself, what was all this? What was this feeling? She had never thought of Jin in this way before. She sat down there and starts thinking about all this. The next morning, Jin is getting ready for office, tying his shoelaces, while the mouse was sitting behind him growling. Gia opens her door and peeks to see Jin. She asks herself what happened to him last night. He looked a little different, but now looking at him, he looks like the old Jin Minchul. Jin realizes that she is looking at him, so he turns and asks her why she's staring at him like that. She replies, "It's nothing." Gia, who was already feeling guilty for her last night act, felt even more embarrassed after this. She tells herself that she was drunk last night, so things got out of control. Otherwise, she had teased him many times before. She explains to herself that if she has done something wrong, then she can admit, apologize, and move on. It is not right to live in such despair anymore. She gathers courage and turns towards Jin and says, "Hey, Jin." As soon as he looks at her, Gia's voice stops. She is unable to say anything and starts trembling. She tries a lot, but no word comes out of her mouth. She asks herself what is happening to her. She just wants to apologize to him, but why is she not able to do it? She tries very hard, but she's not able to do it. In the middle of all this, Mouse sitting in the hall started meowing. Seeing it meowing, Gia also starts meowing towards Jin like a cat. Seeing this act of hers, Jin gets surprised that what is she doing? Along with him, the mouse too gets surprised. She becomes very confused and sad because of her act, as this act was shameful for her too. The scene now shifts to Jin's office where he narrates the entire incident to his only friend Sam. After hearing Jin's entire story, he came to the conclusion that Jin's wife had meowed at him early this morning. Jin nods yes. Then Sam asks him, is he deliberately trying to spoil his mood so early in the morning? Is he just boasting about how happy married life is? Jin replied that he didn't know much about girls. While Sam had a lot of dating experience, he hoped he knew about girls' moods. Sam then asked if he told anyone else about this, like manager Maria. Jin replied that she was in a bad mood, that's why he didn't tell her anything. Sam took a deep breath and said that from now on you won't tell anyone anything. He told Jin that maybe his wife was being sweet to him by meowing at him. Jin said that they are not that close to each other that they can joke like this with each other. Sam replied, but she is your wife, Jin. And then he took out his comb and fixed his hair. And then he confidently says, whatever happened, now you have come to the right person as I have a doctorate degree in loveology. He further added that most of the time, the more complex the problem, the simpler the solution. It is like when there is a problem with your computer, the first thing you do is reformat it. Jin listens as Sam gives him further advice. After taking advice from Sam, Jin returns to his apartment after work. He knocked on the door. Gia opened the gate smiling. He thinks this is the right moment to impress her. She's in the right mood. Jin remembers that Sam had said that if you don't understand anything about girls, then just agree with them and do as they say. So just like Gia meowed at him, he meows at her too. Seeing all this, she remains silent at first, then suddenly blood starts coming out of her mouth and she falls down. It all seems as if a soldier dies in the war and the commander in charge is paying tribute to her by taking her in his lap. The only difference here is that the jobless Gia Han is dying of embarrassment. Seeing her lying on the ground like that, Jin says it's weird while Sam told me to copy whatever she does, so I did the same. Hearing this, Gia's eyes open and she climbs on Jin's back and holding his hair, she tells him, you told other people what happened this morning. Why are you going around telling people this? He replies he didn't know what to do, so he took advice from Sam and then he asks her what's wrong with that. After Jin says this, Gia's loud screams and sounds of breaking utensils start coming from his apartment. After fighting with Jin for a while, she comes to a conclusion that they need some new rules in their contract form, and hence Gia adds a new clause in the form that whatever happens between them will stay between them. Without saying anything, Jin accepts her proposal by bowing his head because he has no other option. He has a lot of questions to ask, but he doesn't even try to ask them due to fear of her. And just like that, a new rule gets added to their rule book. One day after office, Jin said to Gia that he wanted to host a housewarming party for all his office colleagues and friends. He further said that those people have asked him for a party several times, and they are also very excited to meet her. Gia asks, but why a party suddenly? Jin replied that they have been asking for it since their marriage. Even today they asked about the party after the meeting, but he would say yes to it only if she agrees, and getting together in his company is always optional. She remains silent for some time. Then after thinking for a while, she says enthusiastically, okay, let's do it. Jin again told her that she didn't have to say yes under pressure, but she confidently replied that she had no problem in hosting the party. While on the other hand, Gia have some different opinion about hosting the party, that in the party you invite people to ask for continued support for the future. There is not much preparation as a guest, but the host has a lot to do. All in all, this is an event she always wanted to avoid, but despite all the reasons, she agrees to it because she knows Jin Minchul doesn't like the idea of it either. The next morning before going to office, Jin asks her again that she can still back out now, as Gia already knew that he also doesn't like partying, but he wanted her to refuse, but she doesn't do so, and says you go to office without worry, she will do all the preparations herself. Looking at Jin's sad face, she says to herself, "You little rascal, you think you can torture me for my mistake last time?" Look at his upset face, it's perfect, I love it. Jin tries again and say, "Gia, you need to calm down and think again about this." Gia interrupts him and replies that she honestly want to have a housewarming party. She further tells him that she knows he is saying these things because he doesn't want a party. If that is the case, then he can tell people at work that he doesn't want to. Jin remains silent and turns to leave. Seeing this, Gia smiles and says, "Okay, then take care of yourself and don't worry about anything." Hearing this, Jin turns slightly and smiles at her. Seeing him smiling, Gia, who was very happy earlier, suddenly becomes worried. She starts wondering what happened to him suddenly. Why is he so happy? He should have been sad because he is being forced to do something which he doesn't want to do. Gia was worried and sad as she had made some notes on Jin's qualities, which turned out to be wrong this morning, as there was a sudden change in Jin's behavior today. According to Gia, Jin's first trait is that he is obsessed with efficiency. He looks like an old eco-friendly robot whose battery has run out and now it is working on power-saving mode. She has also noted some evidence for this trait as he doesn't bother to eat his food, he grinds it and drinks it. He doesn't waste his energy on other things. He only plays games on gaming console and work out at gym. His trait number 2 is that he is very polite, surprisingly vulnerable to requests. If you keep on pressing him, he will finally give in, as he never refuses any of Gia's requests, and after the honeymoon he only wears the clothes she chose for him. So as per these traits of Jin, she observed, there is no doubt that he did not want to have a housewarming party, but he could not refuse it either, as he can't refuse. He was trying to use Gia's refusal as an excuse for not throwing a party, which she completely understood now. Then suddenly a thought comes to Gia's mind as to how Jin will address her in front of his office friends as wife, girlfriend, housemate, or as a spouse, because it was kind of embarrassing for her. Then she thought that whatever it is no more shameful than her past when she used to live with her parents. With this thought, she prepares herself for the party preparations. Exactly 2 hours later, she starts regretting this decision because of the workload. While cooking food, she continuously on the phone asking her mother about the recipes. "Mom, what did you say? Soy sauce, sesame oil, garlic, and whatnot?" The mother on the other side replies that it is fish sauce, not soy sauce. She yelled at her mother asking what fish sauce was and what it looked like. And then all of a sudden, the cooker starts whistling. She asks her mother what she should do now. Before she can answer anything, the cooker explodes. After a while, now it is time for the party. Jin arrives with some of his office colleagues. Gia opens the door and welcomes them. At the same time, she whispers in Jin's ear that he must treat her very well for now. He replies that this is why he doesn't want to have a housewarming party. The very next moment, she turns to them and says, "It was a long drive, wasn't it? You all must be tired, so let's go straight for dinner." There were many dishes on the dining table. Seeing them all, the guests became happy. Noticing the reaction of the guests, Gia smiles and says, "It's not much, but please enjoy." Hearing Gia, Sam says, "What are you saying? The whole table is full of food. It can break at any moment." While on the other hand, Jin was quite surprised to see her efforts for the party. After freshening up, they start eating and compliments Jin that they are jealous of him as he gets to eat such delicious food every day. Jin says, "This is also my first time that I am eating such tasty food." Before he could say anything else, Gia pinches him and says that he is very kind. That is why he is saying so. Seeing them both like this, everyone starts laughing. All of them have a lot of fun while enjoying the food. After the party, Sam and Maria leave for their destination in the same car. Sam tells Maria that, "I think you were right, because when we asked them some personal questions, They behave strangely. This is also making me doubt their relationship, whether they are really married or just pretending in front of us. He said that he was unsure until he did the request and question session. Their answers and how they behave with each other all seem fake. They seem different from regular couple. He further asked her, why don't we really dig deep and figure this out? At first, Maria refuses, but then she tells him that yes, something must be done. We must find out about them. Sam replied, okay, then I will fix a talk with Minchil soon and find out what is going on between them. Sam further asked her why did she insist that they should meet them in person and find out, while he told her that they are married and not lying? Then how did she doubt them? Maria replies in a lost tone that she realized it when she saw them for the first time. She further says with a fake smile that, whatever it is, she is fine now, and thanks Sam for his help. Hearing this, Sam turns the steering of the car and turn it back. Seeing this, Gia says, why did you make a U-turn? He replies, let's go back and have a drink. I think in all this time I was just asking questions and didn't drink properly. So let's head back and have a few drink. He further says that if she has time, she can come along. She need not drink if she is not feeling well. She can just sit with him and clink glasses with him. Maria smiles slightly and asks him, will you pay for the drinks? He too laughs and replies, why not? If that is what you want, then it will happen. And we will also eat something together. Maria takes out her phone and says there is a restaurant nearby that makes really good beef barbecue. Sam asks her, we just had dinner. Then what is the need to eat again? Maria says that she is feeling hungry and she has made him have dinner many times. Can't he return the favor this time? He replies, if that's the case, then let's have beef barbecue in your favorite restaurant. Then the two of them go to Maria's favorite restaurant and eat and have some drinks. Now the scene shifts to the next morning when the birds are chirping and both Maria and Sam wake up next to each other in the same bed. Both of them did not know what happened to them. How did they reach this situation? Elsewhere, there's chaos at the Minchil apartment, where Gia is giving Jin a lesson on his behavior last night. Jin sat quietly listening to Gia preaching to him that it was shameful that you told others about our first kiss. He asks innocently, but why was it embarrassing? She replies, because we kissed when we were 5, and it's embarrassing to share our childish things with others. He seems unsatisfied with her answer, so he asks again, but why? This time Gia gets more aggressive and shouts louder because it's common sense, you fool. If there was someone who was good at reading the room, he would have questioned whether we are a real couple. All of a sudden, she gets a second thought, and she suddenly becomes quiet and starts thinking that she is dealing with Jin, who is not like others. He buys 7 sets of the same clothes because he doesn't want to be bothered. He is the kind of person who avoids everything, even cooking, so he used to eat chicken breast smoothies and protein bars. While Gia was thinking all this, Jin starts to playing with his pet cat and says, Mouse, did you see your daddy getting scolded? Can you go and play somewhere else? While Gia explains to herself that she was wrong to think that it was even possible to have a normal conversation with this bastard. She tells Jin again, whatever happened, but it's taboo to tell people that our first kiss was in kindergarten. Let's choose another time and place if you really want to share it with someone else. But Jin is Jin, and still he asks her, but why can't we tell that our first kiss was at the kindergarten? She replies, didn't you see how people reacted yesterday? What kind of couple has their first kiss in kindergarten? And if we're going to be specific, it wasn't even a kiss. It was just a peck on the cheek. After this, he politely asked, then what should we tell them? When and where did it happen? Because even in their wedding, they only pretended to kiss. It is strange that the married couple did not even have their first kiss. After hearing this, she also starts to feel that he is asking the reasonable question. Gia thinks she never even thought about it, and she never thought she will think about it this way. Then suddenly a thought comes to her's mind that, shouldn't dating start before the first kiss? So if it's said in school, the first kiss happened a week after dating? If they say this, it seems like they've really been dating for a very long time. While they were discussing these things, Gia gets a video call from her mother. As she picks up the phone, her mother on the other end of the video call asks Gia, how are you, my daughter? Seeing her parents together, she asks, why you both are together? Where are you, and what are you celebrating? Then Jin comes from behind and seeing him, Gia's mother says, how are you, my son-in-law? It feels good to see you both together like this. Jin nodded, saying he was okay, and then asked her if she was okay. Ignoring Jin, Jia asks her mother again why they both are together and what is the reason for the video call. Her mom replies, "Your dad and me are on a movie date. The next part of this Spaghetti Man movie series is coming out today, and we're going to watch it before you." Hearing this, Jia becomes quiet and goes into deep thought. Because Spaghetti Man is a cult superhero movie, she again reconfirms with her mom that do they come to watch Spaghetti Man movie. As soon as she gets confirmation from her mother, she immediately disconnects the call. And then she immediately turns to Jin and tells him to get ready, we are leaving. He asks in surprise, "Where are we going?" While getting ready, she explains everything to him that there's kind of tradition in their family where if you don't watch something the day it's released, the person who watches it first spoils it for everyone. That's why they have to go to the theater to watch Spaghetti Man before her mother. She didn't want to take any risks with blockbuster series like Spaghetti Man, where the competition was even more fierce. So in other words, in her family, if you don't see the movie as soon as it's released, you're doomed. While on the other hand, Jia's mother was excited to give her spoilers about the film. After telling all this to Jin, and with dreams in her eyes to watch the Spaghetti Man movie before her mother spoils it, she rushes to the movie hall with Jin as soon as possible. With a large caramel popcorn coated in butter and a cold drink in her hand, she excitedly settles into a seat at the movie theater. As Jin comes and sits next to her, she complains that it sucks that they got seats in the corner, but she'll still manage somehow. Jin doesn't say a word but just stares at her silently. While eating popcorn, she asked him, "What's with that face, Jin? Have you never seen a spaghetti movie before? If you didn't want to come, you should have told me beforehand." He replies, "It's nothing like that." He also liked this movie series. He was just wondering that since they came to watch the movie together, is this their first date? He further says, "I heard you talking to your parents that they are going on a movie date, so I also thought that maybe this is our first date too." She doesn't respond to him, interrupting him. In between, she shouts at the people sitting behind her to calm down. The movie is about to start. After this, both of them calm down, and on the other hand, Jia starts thinking, why did he say so? And amidst all this, the movie begins. They start staring at the screen attentively. While watching the movie, Jia praises it and says that this movie is really incredible. After some time while watching the movie, Jia extends her hand to pick up the popcorn. On the other hand, Jin also extends his hand to pick up the popcorn. In the meantime, the hands of both of them touch each other, and as soon as their hands touch, they look at each other. Handling the situation, both of them remove their hands and Jin starts looking in the other direction. While watching the climax of the movie, she hides her face with her hands and says that she can't bear all this, and then after some time the movie ends. As the movie ends, she starts crying loudly. Wiping her tears, she says, "It was so freaking good. How could they end it like that?" Thinking all this and wiping her tears, she looks at Jin to know how he liked the movie. Because when we go to watch a movie with someone, it is our utmost responsibility to ask him or her how he or she liked the movie. While fulfilling this responsibility, she asks him about the movie. Jin Minchul, who has been following this Spaghetti Man series for the past 20 years, raises his hand and says that after watching it, "I don't regret anything in my life," and starts crying with tears. Jia feels very happy to see his reaction because when we suggest a movie to someone and he enjoys watching that movie, then we also feel proud and happy. After the movie ends, they walk out of the theater. Jia tells Jin what a good movie it was while going down the accelerator. Jia, as usual, is bothered by her short-tempered speech and keeps on saying, "Didn't I tell you that you would be happy to see this?" She further says, "Did you see the scene when Spaghetti Man cried, and seeing him cry, the entire audience in the theater started crying?" Saying all this, Jia suddenly realizes that she came to watch the movie to avoid spoilers, and watching a movie on the weekend and talking about the movie like this really feels like they are on a date. Jin, who is walking ahead of Jia, takes out his phone after looking at it. He says, "Let's see when its next part is coming." On the other hand, Jia keeps thinking that this is really the first time they have come out like this after the honeymoon. Meanwhile, the shoulder of the person walking with Jia collides with her shoulder, and she loses her balance. She slips from the stairs and starts falling down. She screams loudly as she falls. Hearing her voice, Jin turns back and sees Jia coming towards him. All this happens so quickly that no one can do anything. Both of them come face to face with each other. Everyone present there is watching all this. Jia jumps on Jin to save herself from falling. Jin completely stumbles but somehow saves himself and her from falling. During all this commotion, their faces come very close to each other and their lips touch each other's lips, and thus their first kiss takes place. The people present there start staring at both of them and whispering about them. Jia's face turns completely red with shame. Even in this situation, Jia starts thinking that her first kiss with Jin, which happened by chance, tasted slightly like caramel. Seeing both of them in this situation, a child who had come there with his mother says, "Mommy, look! Those two are doing a piggyback ride all backward." His mother hides his eyes with her hand and says, "Don't look at them. They're dirty." Upon hearing this, both of them move away from each other. After all this, Jin gets so nervous that he becomes unable to think of anything due to nervousness, and he keeps holding Jia in his hands and starts panting due to nervousness. Jia softly tells him, "You can put me down," and hearing this, he does the same. After coming down, she stands there like a statue for a few moments, and then suddenly runs away from there. After going a little further, she turns back and says, "Whatever happened just now is canceled." Jin stares at her in surprise, and she adds, "Don't you know about the 3-second rule?" Jin still remains silent, as if he doesn't know anything, and then she starts to explain in detail that if you cancel something within 3 seconds, it doesn't count. Like you can eat food that's fallen on the floor if you pick it up in 3 seconds. And after saying this, she dashes away from there, while Jin keeps calling her name, but she doesn't listen and runs away. Jia sits in the smoking area, where she was wondering what has happened to her. She had never expected this to happen. More than the kissing incident, Jia is bothered by the fact that the method she have told him to cancel it was very childish, and she was feeling very embarrassed thinking about it, because in their childhood days they used to follow the 3-second rule. Thinking about all these things, Jia smokes many cigarettes. She is also worried about how will she face Jin now. Then after a while, Jin comes there, and smelling the cigarette smoke, he asks, "Jia, have you smoked cigarette?" She doesn't respond and continues staring at him like a statue. He understands Jia's reaction and tells her, "Even if you have smoked, it is okay. At least air your clothes out of smoke." She stands like a statue while Jin puts his hands on her shoulders and starts pushing her towards the exit. After a while, Jia turns her face back and asks Jin, "Are you okay with our kiss?" Jin replies with great innocence, "You canceled it in 3 seconds, so it never happened." Jia tries to ask something again, but Jin interrupts her and says, "Would you like to have lunch or just go home?" Jia makes a face and replies, "Do whatever you like," and then they stop at a restaurant on the way to have lunch. Both of them order their favorite food, and after some time the food arrives on their table. Jia is still thinking about all those things. On the other hand, Jin starts eating his food very comfortably. Seeing him, she starts wondering what kind of a person he is. So much has happened between them, and he is still behaving as if nothing has happened. While Jin was eating his food, which was chicken breast with cold water as usual, Jia kept staring at him. Seeing Jia like this, he asked her, "Do you want to say something?" Jia changes the topic and says nothing special. "I was just thinking, you are eating chicken breast here too." After lunch, the two head back to their apartment. Walking down the street, Jia is still thinking about all those things, while Jin, on the other hand, is leisurely walking towards home using his phone. Jia turns around to look at Jin, who is casually working on his phone, and thinks maybe she's the one who's overthinking all of this, because whatever happened between them happened unknowingly. Jia tries to free herself from this dilemma and thinks that she is now 32 years old, and even if their lips touch each other, so what? They are a married couple. When Jia was thinking about all these things and trying to come out of the situation, then suddenly Jin says, "Hey Jia, I can't take this anymore. I have to get this off my chest." Jia looks at him in surprise while Jin continues to speak that it was more than 3 seconds since our lips touched. To be precise, I remember it was 5 seconds. Hearing this, Jia starts sweating and her heart starts beating faster. Jin smiles and says, "Why don't we make this our first kiss? We were already making fake stories about our first kiss in the morning. Wouldn't that be perfect?" Jin continues speaking and Jia keeps smiling listening to him. And then suddenly there's a loud slap sound. The scene now shifts to Jin's apartment, where he is sitting shirtless and the slap mark is on his back, which looks like an old Picasso painting. Seeing this scene, it was clearly visible that Jin had been slapped on the back, and the hands that did the slapping belonged to none other than Jia. Troubled by the situation, Jin questions himself as to what he has done wrong. On the other hand, Jia runs away from the situation and goes to her sister Jimin's house to live with her. Both Jimin and her husband Jinu are surprised to see Jia suddenly at their home like this. Before they could ask her anything, Jia herself smiled and said that she has come to stay with them for a few days. Hearing this, both of them, despite not wanting to, laugh a little at her words to keep her happy. But Jia did not come to their home just like that. Before coming to them, she had asked many questions to herself. Actually, this time she had a very long conversation with herself, or in Sipma word, it can be said that she had a conference with her younger versions. At the beginning of this conference, she tells all his participants, who were her younger versions, why this meeting was called. Present-day Jia tells them the whole story about what happened to her today, how a kiss accidentally happened between her and Jin. And before ending her statement, she says that whatever happened was a mistake and asks them, do they understand her? She makes it clear again in front of everyone that it was unintentional. All the available past Jia agree with the statement of present Jia and give their approval to her. Suddenly, Jia remembers something. She says, please note one more thing I want to tell you guys, that after the kiss, Jin made a proposal to me that why don't we make this kiss our first kiss? And after saying this, she starts banging the table loudly in anger. She further says that you people saw what a foolish person he is. Even in such a situation, he was talking nonsense. Present Jia again asked for their consent on this. Do you guys agree that he is a stupid man? This time too, everyone gives their consent by making faces. And then suddenly, 5-year-old Jia, the youngest member of the group, nicknamed the Smooching Ghost, asks current Jia whether a kiss a good thing, and then everyone present there starts answering the youngest Jia's question. After discussing it for some time, the present-day Jia again interrupts everyone and starts speaking with a fake smile about the issue that she wants to spend some time away from Jin. She can't go to her parents as their house is too far away. That's why the only option she has is her sister Jimin's house. So she asks them about it. Before anyone can answer, 15-year-old Jia raises her hand and asks present-day Jia a question. Doesn't present-day Jia have any friends she can stay with for a while? She further said that if she looks carefully, she will definitely find a close friend with whom she can stay, and then she will not have to go to her sister's house. Present-day Jia puts her hand on her forehead and says, I can tell you, but you will not be able to understand current me. There's a lot that's happened. And then teasing 25-year-old Jia, she says, isn't that right? Because according to today's Jia, 25-year-old Jia was the main culprit of her entire situation. And then leaving all these things behind, today's Jia says that if you see Jimin and her husband are indebted to me because I was the one who introduced them to each other in the first place. I was the one who sent them on a blind date. When I was working in a company, I even gave them money so they could go on some nice dates. And I was the only person who convinced them to get married. If they think about how much they owe me for this, they can't say no. And thus, after convincing all the versions of herself and taking their consent, she comes to her sister's house. Thanks for watching and comment the best part of this video. After talking to her younger versions and taking their consent, Jia decided to go to her sister's house. As soon as Jia reaches her sister's home, she finds her brother-in-law Jinu standing at the gate with the children. Jia gives the present to her brother-in-law, which she has brought for them, and asks, "How are you, brother-in-law?" Jinu smilingly replies that there was no need for all this. Before he could say anything more, his wife Jimin interrupts him and asks Jia, "How are you, sister?" Before Jia could reply anything, she further said, "What are you doing here on the weekend? And that too with such a wonderful gift." Jia replies that she is fine and says about the gift that it is not a big thing. It is just a small gift for the kids. While talking like this, Jia slowly enters their house, and as soon as she reaches her sister, Jimin asks her softly, "What brings you here on the weekend without any prior notice? Didn't mom and dad teach you any manners?" Jia slowly turns her face away and says to herself, "Maybe you are forgetting, my younger sister. We have the same parents. I have received the same values as you." On the other hand, children are badly troubling their father. One is punching him in the stomach. Other one is pulling his hair. Seeing all this, Jimin tells them not to trouble him so much. Jia, who has been noticing all this, asks her sister, "Hey, I know they're my nephew and niece, but they sure are energetic. I mean, Jinu is so calm. I wonder where he gets it from." Jimin replies that it's because they resemble me. "If you look back to when we were kids, I'm sure your future kids will be even more troublemakers, and just thinking about it sends shivers down my spine." Then she further says, "Tell me, my mother's elder daughter, what else is going on in your life?" Jia, on hearing this, replies, "Keep quiet. You cannot call me by my name." Why are you teasing me, my mother's little daughter? Jimin says, let's forget it. Whatever the reason is for you coming here, I want to tell you something, dear sister. Gia looks at her in surprise as to what she wants to share, and then Jimin starts saying that the next part of Spaghetti Man is out now in theater. Gia understands from hearing this that she wants to give him spoilers about the movie, so she interrupts her in between and says, don't worry, I have already seen that movie. I knew this would be the first thing you would say to me as soon as you met me. As soon as Jimin hears Gia's reply, all her intentions are shattered. She becomes sad and frustrated. Then she says, how is this possible? It has just been released today. How could you watch it? You don't even have a job. You have ruined my mood. Hearing this, Gia replies to her, hey, I just saw it today. That has nothing to do with being jobless. After hearing Gia's answer, Jimin gets silent for a while, and then suddenly she remembers Jin and asks her about him, what has happened between you two. Gia spits out the tea as she hears Jin's name. After this, Gia tries to divert the topic by saying that everything is fine between them. With the other hand, she keeps cleaning the tea lying on the table. From Gia's words, Jimin understands that she is definitely hiding something from her, and she also reminds her that hiding things is her very old habit. Sipping tea, Jimin tells Gia that she knows after fighting with Jin, she left his house and came straight to their house. She didn't even tell her parents anything. She came straight here to spend some time so that the matter cools down. Gia gets a little worried after hearing her words and starts thinking that she turned out to be very intelligent. Jimin then asks her why she came to their house. Gia makes an innocent face and replies that it is not what you are thinking. I just wanted to meet the children and you. That is why I came to stay at your place for a few days. Hearing the words of the elder sister, the younger sister gets emotional and says, I did not know that you love my children so much. After listening to Jimin's words, Gia starts thinking that she has fooled her this time, but this is not the case in reality. The very next moment, Jimin and her husband leave for a walk, leaving both the children in Gia's hands. Before leaving the house, both of them say goodbye to Gia, while Gia, on the other hand, assures them not to worry about anything, and she will take good care of the kids. Jinu gets a little worried, thinking whether Gia will be able to take care of the kids or not. Then Jimin consoles him, saying, don't worry at all, my sister can take good care of these kids, so let's go and spend some good time outside. Now slowly, Gia understands her younger sister's trick. Why did she suddenly agree to keep her at home? Then she consoles herself by saying that whatever may be the case, now she has got a house to live in, and perhaps this will be the atonement for her sins. The very next moment, the kids start teasing her. The kid sitting on Gia's back starts chewing her hair. She lovingly removes her hair from the baby's mouth. In this way, Gia spends a lot of time taking care of the children. After 2 hours, both the children are sitting on Gia's back, and they have painted their and Gia's face with colors. Gia lies quietly on the ground like a corpse. At this time, she understands the importance of parents, that how much sacrifice they make for their children. Tired, Gia turns to the children and requests them if they can watch TV now, because Auntie is very tired. But children are children. They do not listen to her and start saying that, Auntie, please show us how a horse speaks. As Gia had promised her sister that she will take complete care of her children, and following this, she starts walking as a horse. After this, the kids give another order to Gia that Mummy has told us that horses make a neighing sound. Auntie, you also make the same sound. Before she could make the horse sound, suddenly the doorbell rings and Gia thinks she is saved, else these kids would have driven her crazy. When she starts going to open the door, the children cling to her feet. They hold her feet, stop her from going, and start saying, show us the sound of a horse. While trying to free her feet from the children, she says, leave Auntie's feet, kids. The delivery person has come to the gate. She has to see what gift he has brought for them. She somehow reaches the gate, wondering which delivery man must have come at this time. She opens the gate and sees Jin standing at the door with a gift in his hand. As quickly as Gia opens the door, she closes it just as quickly when she finds Minchul standing outside the house. Gia, standing behind the door, starts wondering why Jin has come there, and her heart starts beating fast. On the other hand, Jin keeps knocking on the door continuously. Standing near the door, Gia keeps wondering nervously that how did Jin know that she have come here, and has he put a tracker on her? Gia, who is worried about the situation and drenched in sweat, is thinking all this when Jimin's elder daughter Yoonji comes to her and asks her, Auntie, who has come outside? She replies to him that he is a strange person who is looking for an address. He is a dirty person. And then suddenly Yoonji pulls out her phone and shows it to Gia and asks if it's the same person. Gia was shocked to see the photo because the photo Yoonji showed her was of Jin. Yoonji smiles, showing the phone, and says, "Mommy told us that this man will come to our house, and there is no need to be scared of him because he is our uncle, and he is bringing good gifts for us." Hearing these words, Gia understands what kind of game her sister has played with her. On her nephew's request, Gia lets Jin enter her sister's house and gives the ice cream that Jin had brought to the children to eat. After this, both of them sit opposite each other so that they can resolve the misunderstanding that occurred between them after the movie theater kissing incident. Both of them sit silent for a long time. On the other hand, the children are eating ice cream with great gusto. Gia tries her best to ignore Jin, so much so that she doesn't even like to look at him. But eventually Gia breaks the silence between them by demanding an answer from Jin about how he knew she was at her sister's house. Jin replies very quickly that your sister Jimin herself called me and told me that you have come to her place and asked me to pick you up from here. Hearing this, Gia shouts Jimin's name loudly and abuses her 3 or 4 times. Seeing Gia's reaction, Jin explains to her that you should not blame Jimin for this. She did the right thing. My sister and I used to do the same in our childhood. When our parents had a fight, we both would leave them alone for some time so that they could sort out the matter. But Jin's words have no effect on Gia's anger. After remaining silent for some time, she suddenly said, "How can you be so stupid that you came here just on her request? Don't you understand? I did not want to be around you. That is why I left your house and came here." Jin replies immediately because it is written in the 5th clause of our contract form that if there is any issue, then sit and solve it through communication instead of running away from the situation. After saying this, he asked Gia that if you felt bad about something I said, then tell me. Hearing this, Gia becomes even more angry. Jin asked her again, "Why are you mad at me?" As soon as Jin says this, the entire incident of their accidental kiss comes back in front of Gia's eyes, which she wanted to forget, but Jin's words that the kiss lasted for more than 3 seconds, and therefore she should consider this kiss as their first official kiss were coming to her mind again and again, and making her more angry. Jin's emotionless reaction was also bothering her, because the kiss might have been accidental, but it has somehow created some feelings in Gia's heart. Gia was feeling angry and hating seeing Jin's emotionless face. She was cursing herself for expecting something from him and having feelings for a person who is an emotionless fool. Then Yoonji comes to Gia saying, Auntie. As soon as Gia turns towards her to listen her, Yoonji stuffs a spoonful of ice cream into Gia's mouth. After feeding ice cream to Gia, Yoonji laughs, showing her broken teeth. Then she softly says that Mummy had said that, when you're annoyed, then sweet things are best. You're not annoyed anymore, right, Auntie? This time Gia's heart melts. After this, Yoonji takes the ice cream and walks towards Jin, asking him, Uncle, do you also want to eat ice cream? Jin raises his hand and refuses her, saying that he does not like this mint chocolate ice cream at all. On the other hand, Jimin's little son crawls towards Gia. She picks him up in her lap and starts feeding him ice cream. And while doing all this, Gia's anger also slowly starts to calm down. While feeding ice cream to the child, she starts thinking that she has grown up now, and she should also behave like a grown-up. She should not care about all these things, and anyway, they both are married. Even if they kiss, it should not be such a big deal. On the other hand, Yoonji is after Jin to feed him ice cream, while Jin is trying his best to save himself. By now it becomes night, and slowly, Gia's anger towards Jin also begins to subside. Meanwhile, Gia's sister Jimin and Jinu, who had gone for dinner, also return, and Gia packs her things and gets ready to go back to her home, i.e., Jin's apartment. She thanks her sister and her husband in a sarcastic way because the anger with which she came into their house and wishing it would last longer ended in a matter of hours just because of them. When she bids them goodbye, the kids say, Auntie, please come next time too. Gia smiles and nods her head. On a dark night in a deserted road, Gia and Jin are walking towards their home, with only the sound of the wheels of Gia's luggage bag being heard. Gia brings a lot of clothes and other necessary items with her, thinking that she will spend some time away from Jin at her sister's place, but that doesn't happen. While walking on the road, she is thinking that if she had known that something like this could happen, then she would have spent time alone in her room at home. She wouldn't have made the situation more awkward by leaving the Jin's apartment in anger like that. Then suddenly, while walking, Gia hears a voice saying sorry. She immediately stops upon hearing sorry and sees Jin standing there looking slightly embarrassed. Jin, after a slight silence, says that he should have said sorry some time ago, then maybe things wouldn't have gotten so bad between them. He further says that whatever happened between us in the movie theater and after that I said that we should make this our official first kiss. I was stupid. I had no idea what I was saying. I should have said sorry to you for this earlier. Gia listens to him quietly, and when Jin finishes speaking, he says sorry again. After listening to the whole thing, Gia says to him, "Do you really think that I am angry at you for such petty things?" On the other hand, she herself knew that she was angry at Jin for all these things. But she says this to make herself look better than him. She fakes anger and tells Jin, "You're just apologizing because you think that's what I want to hear, right?" She further added, "Even when we were young, you would apologize whenever something bad happened. I guess you still haven't given up your habit." While Jin tries to explain himself by saying, "I mean it because I'm really sorry." After this, Gia says, "Whatever it is, you have made a mistake, so you must be punished." Hearing this, Jin's face turns pale. Gia reminds Jin that a good flick on the forehead is needed in a situation like this. Blowing into her hands, Gia tells him to come here and get ready to get a flick on the forehead. Jin holds his forehead and asks Gia, "Are you really going to do this? Do you know how much your flick hurts?" Hearing this, Gia clenches her fist and says, "Well, if you don't want to take a flick, then how about a punch?" Hearing this, Jin silently moves his forehead towards Gia. Seeing Jin like this, she says, "Before I hit you on the forehead, I want to tell you why I was angry at you." She tells him that they spent hours discussing or making up stories about how they should tell people how their first kiss happened. And then there was the kissing incident happened between them in the movie theater, which she doesn't like at all and doesn't even want this kind of kiss to be remembered as their first kiss. She further says that she wants to change this memory of hers. She then lovingly holds Jin's face in her hands, pulls him towards her, and kisses his forehead with her juicy lips. After this, the whole atmosphere becomes loving and sweet. Jin is unable to understand Gia's this act at all. He is stunned and just keeps looking at her in surprise. Gia, on the other hand, confidently points at Jin and says, "From now on, this is our first kiss, Jin Minchel." The next morning, like an honest friend, Jin shares everything with his childhood and office best friend Sam. After listening to everything, Sam says that the story you told us on the night of the housewarming party about your first kiss was a lie. Last night you had your first kiss with your wife, and that too while returning from your in-laws' house. Jin nodded yes. Sam added that, but now everyone on the team thinks your first kiss was in kindergarten when you were both 5. You're worried about how to tell everyone about it, aren't you? Jin again nods his head, accepting all these things. After this, Sam, who is a very calm person, suddenly shouts at Jin. He angrily yells at Jin, "Is this really something to worry about? I'm so tired after that night at your house, and you're coming to me for advice on something like that?" As soon as Sam says this, Jin immediately asks him, "Did anything happen that night, but when you all left our house, you all were very happy? Did anything happen after you left from there?" Hearing Jin's question, Sam's face turns pale. Sweat starts dripping from his face, and he replies to Jin with a fake smile that there is nothing to worry about. Nothing happened that night. While they're talking, Maria comes by to get some snacks from the vending machine. Both of them become absolutely silent after seeing her. She smiles at them while Sam turns his face away. Just as Jin raises his hand and is about to say hello to her, she immediately blushes and runs away. Jin is shocked to see all this, while Sam turns his face away from all this. Jin politely asks Sam if he did something wrong. Sam requests him to keep quiet for some time. Jin was surprised to see Sam's behavior like this. He could not understand why he was acting like that. As we all know that Sam is a very talkative boy who entertains everyone in the office. But is he really like that? Because his changed behavior shows something else. We have to go back a few years to know what Sam is really like, or if he was just pretending to be talkative in his office to hide some of his secrets. In his early days, Sam was a very shy and introverted boy who loved to stay at home. He was the 4th child of his parents. He had 3 elder sisters. Since he had 3 elder sisters, as he grew up, he gradually came to know from them what they expected from boys or how they wanted the guys to behave with them. So he gradually became a kind of expert in matters of girls. That's why he used to help his friends in dating and finding girlfriends since his school days. Sam's school friends often sought his advice on matters related to girls, and his advice always proved to be effective. During his school days itself, he became the god of dating by matching almost 20 couples. While he himself hasn't found a proper girlfriend yet, he was absolutely useless when it comes to dating. So for someone like Sam to suddenly get in physical relationship with his office boss, it was completely out of the box. When he realizes that he has crossed his limit with alcohol, he doesn't know how to react. He gets up in panic, sits up, drenched in sweat, and starts thinking about various bad things. The frightened Sam is further frightened when Maria slowly wakes up, looks at him, and says sweetly, "Sorry." Sam doesn't know how to react in such a situation, so he sits quietly. He was more stressed for this act because he knew Maria not only from his office time, but also from his college days. When Sam was in the first year of college, Maria was his super senior in his college. During this time, Maria ragged him several times and did the kind of things that seniors often do with their juniors during college days. For some of these reasons, Sam is disappointed after becoming intimate with Maria. He also tried many times to make things right with Maria, like just this morning. As soon as Sam presses the lift button, he sees Maria in front of him in the lift. Both of them get nervous on seeing each other, and the same thing that happened between them starts playing in their mind again. The lift starts moving upwards. Both of them stand with their backs towards each other. No one says anything to anyone. The lift keeps moving upwards silently. Suddenly, the scene in which Maria says sorry to him comes in Sam's mind, and he starts thinking about it again. Even after thinking for a long time, nothing comes to his mind. He cannot understand what is happening between them. Then it occurs to Sam that perhaps he has not fully matured, and he also realizes that maybe Maria too hasn't yet matured enough when it comes to relationship things. After thinking about all this for a long time, Sam gathers courage to talk to Maria, and after banging his hand on the elevator wall loudly, he turns back to talk. Maria also turns towards him because of the sound inside the lift. Both of them start looking at each other. Their eyes meet. They start blushing but are unable to say anything to anyone. Both of them stand silently in front of each other for a long time. Their hearts start beating fast. Suddenly, Maria asks Sam like a child, "What happened? Is there any problem?" As if nothing had happened between them. Sam gets very angry with her reaction. He does not understand why she is behaving like this. As he opens his mouth to ask Maria something, the lift bell rings and a courier guy enters the lift. After this, both of them stand silently in the lift, frustrated and disappointed, turning their faces away from each other. Both of them sit quietly in their respective office cabins. Sam is getting completely frustrated thinking about himself and Maria, and then Jin comes to him and to tell him the story of his and Jia's first kiss. Jin starts telling him his story and problems without listening to him or understanding anything, which makes Sam extremely frustrated. After listening to everything Jin said and not telling anyone about the turmoil going on in his life, Sam leaves for home after finishing his office at night. While walking on the way, he keeps thinking that when someone else is facing a problem in life, he solves their problems by becoming a savior. But now that his life is in turmoil, no solution is coming to his mind. Suddenly, Sam takes out his phone and thinks that he should talk to his second sister, Yeonju. She will definitely have some solution to his problems. At first, he is a little hesitant to call her, wondering what she will think of him. But then he somehow convinces himself and eventually gathers the courage to call her. The phone starts to ring and Sam's heart starts to beat faster. After a ring or two, Yeonju picks up the phone. Sam's sister Yeonju is 32 years old and is a social media influencer and also a popular romance novelist. Her most famous novel is When Farewell Pass. As soon as she picks up the phone, Yeonju says, "It's our good fortune that our younger brother called us." On the other hand, Sam tells the whole story to his sister, but using his friend's name instead of his own. He says that I have a friend who is going through problems in his life. After hearing the whole story, she says, "So the friend you were giving advice to was interested in a girl, but that friend of yours went too far with her one night, and now things are awkward between the two of them?" Sam tells his sister that whatever she has understood till now is absolutely correct, and after this he asks for advice from her on what his friend should do next, as she was an expert in all these matters. After listening to Sam, Yeonju asks him that if I do this for you, what favor will I get in return? Sam replies that, "Don't worry, do you think that I am taking advice from you for free? I will send you 2 boxes of macarons which you like very much." Yeonju knew her brother very well, so she asked, "My dear brother, is your friend's name Sam?" Sam is stunned to hear this and immediately hangs up the phone. Seeing all this, Yeonju smiles and says to herself, "Our younger brother ran away again." On the other hand, Sam is panting in nervousness and is thinking to himself that how does his sister know everything about him every time? And when he is left with no solution, He gets disappointed and says to himself that a person must have at least one guru with whom he can share all his things and who can give him the right advice. Sam came to a restaurant to buy macarons for his sister, but when he gets caught and their deal is broken, he ends up going home without buying anything. While coming out, his eyes suddenly fall on Gia near his car, who had also come there to buy some food. Both of them look at each other and smile slightly and say hi. Breaking the silence between them, Gia says, "You are probably heading home from office." Sam tells Gia that his sister loves the macarons here, so he came to buy them. Gia smiles and replies, "Yes, I have also heard a lot about them, that the macarons here are very famous. I also came to try them." Gia further says that she should leave now. It is too late. Sam smilingly says bye to her. She also says bye in return, then turns and starts walking. Seeing her, Sam suddenly starts to feel something strange. He feels as if he knows her from before. He finds her a little familiar, as he knew her before the housewarming party at Jin's apartment. After putting some pressure on his brain, Sam suddenly starts remembering everything. And then Sam asks Gia, "Are you by chance burning chicken feet?" On hearing this, the parcel that Gia is holding drops from her hand and falls on the ground. She turns back and asks Sam, who is he talking about? Tension and fear are clearly visible on Gia's face. Sam confidently replies, "Don't you remember me? I am Yeonju's younger brother. We have met many times before. You have come to our house many times." Gia hides her face in her hair and says, "I can't remember anything. What are you talking about? Maybe there is someone else you're looking for?" After listening to Gia, Sam says, "Come on, don't do this. Please don't act like you don't know me. You are making me sad now. I know that you're the burning chicken feet." In response to this, Gia says that you have got the wrong person. If you want to eat chicken feet, then go to a restaurant. Why are you bothering me? After this, Sam starts reminding her that your first book was, "Is It Hot Because It's Summer?" After this, you wrote another book whose name was, "Why Can't I Become a Secretary?" All of these books may not be so popular anymore, but those who read fiction romance novels will still remember these, and these were classics of their time. He then goes on to say that you had a pen name, Burning Chicken Feet, and you even gave me an autograph with this name once. Hearing all this from Sam, Gia gets angry and shouts that, "Yes, I am that Burning Chicken Feet." After this, all the old memories get refreshed in Gia's mind, which she was pretending to hide in some way. How she used to go to college in her 20s, where her aptitude did not match with the college guys. She was tired of seeing girls gossiping about their friends' relationships in those days. She found her college days quite boring, so she used to read most of the time novels, which she slowly started finding boring as well, as no one was writing anything interesting. In those days, she used to stay at her college best friend Sam's sister Yeonju's place and read novels all day long to find something new and interesting. The two first met in a liberal arts class, and since then, an understanding has developed between Gia and Yeonju, as she is a very calm and sensible girl. Gia often spent 1 to 2 days a week at Yeonju's place and would often ask her for novels to read because she was bored of reading the same novels again and again. Yeonju was also fond of reading many novels, and since then, by reading novels, she gets into the habit of writing novels also. One day when Yeonju is writing something on her laptop, Gia comes there and insists on reading the article written by her. Gia gets very emotional after reading it because she finds the Nobel very interesting, new and realistic. Gia gets so much emotional after reading it that she starts crying loudly and requests Yeonju to publish it. Gia praises the Nobel written by her and says that if consciousness and knowledge exist somewhere in this world, then this Nobel written by you will be recognized and it will definitely be famous. And she also gives a rating of 9.2 out of 10. Yeonju was not that impressed by Gia's words and was still unsure about whether to publish it or not. Understanding her confusion, Gia requests her if she can publish it. Yeonju, who was full of confusion and did not have a bit of faith in herself, tells Gia to do as she pleases with this novel. And within 3 months, the novel becomes so famous that Gia also gets fame. With paparazzi, media, and lots of questions all around, Gia becomes quite famous, and after a few months, Yeonju also publishes her works under her own name and becomes a famous writer. And in the same year, the first book published by Gia got the most famous Nobel Prize of the year. The organization organizing the awards also publishes Gia's pen name, Burning Chicken Feet, in their awards booklet, which she gave just like that, because before publishing that book, she had eaten chicken feet soup. When Gia becomes famous and gets the Book of the Year award, She realizes that she should have thought a little before giving her a pen name, and if she had not thought about it, then the award-giving organization should have contacted her once. In this way, Gia's all old memories are refreshed again, and after this, she stays to have dinner with Sam. And thus, she accepts everything in front of Sam, reliving her old memories, and sits down to have dinner with him. Sam teases Gia and asks her, "How are you burning chicken feet?" She requests Sam to please call me by my real name, which you know very well, which is now Gia Minchell. Hearing this, Sam smiles and asks Gia, "I forgot to ask, how did you two meet each other? You both are completely opposite to each other." In response to this, Gia says that I am still confused. I myself cannot understand how we met each other and how we got married. After this, Sam again tries to ask her how they met, but Gia interrupts him and says, "Leave our things and tell me about yourself. As you told that you slept with a girl and spent the night with her on whom you had a crush." Hearing this from Gia, Sam hesitates and says, "No, it is not about me, it is about my friend. This incident happened to him." Gia then says, "Let's assume this happened with your friend whose name was Sam. If you want to keep on talking about all this, then we can debate on this topic for a long time." She then goes on to say that, "I know this is bothering you, but don't you think it's wrong? It would be better if you tell me the truth, Mr. Sam." Then Sam blushes a little and says, "No, there is nothing like that. I just wanted to take advice from you." After this, she says, "Sam, you know I also have a problem. Would you like to know what it is?" Out of curiosity, he nods his head to know about her problem. Gia told him that there is an old saying that if you have patience, then you can face a problem 3 times. I have already faced it 3 times and now I am angry. So how do I vent out my anger now? Sam doesn't understand anything. He keeps looking at her in surprise. Then Gia further says that if you want to make the situation worse with your crush without giving any answer, then you can easily leave without consulting me. After this, he says that I had told you earlier also that this is not about me, but about my friend. After this, Gia, showing some anger, tells him, "Sam, seriously, if you want someone to listen to, then you have to tell them the truth. Otherwise, if you keep beating around the bush, then it will become very upsetting for that person as well." Hearing this, Sam fakes a smile so that she doesn't suspect him. Gia understands from his expressions that he is the real culprit and advises him that if that person doesn't even have the slightest bit of interest, then there's no need for you to think about it too deeply. After getting this advice from Gia, their dinner meeting ends. Sam leaves the restaurant, and while walking, he thinks, what kind of people are these writers? They don't have any emotion in their hearts, like Gia and her elder sister Yeonju, who don't think before speaking about how the other person will feel. But whatever it was, no matter how rude her behavior was, at least I understood what she said and what I should do next. Maria, who was lying on her bed in her home and was comfortably watching videos, suddenly her phone rings. Maria's attention goes to the phone, and as soon as she sees that Sam is calling her so late in the night, she gets up in a panic, and whatever setup she had set up to watch the video falls down. She gathers courage and picks up the phone. As soon as she picks up the phone, Sam says from the other side, "Hello, Maria. Is this the right time to talk to you?" On hearing this, Maria, who was lying on her bed, gets up and sits. She gasps and asks Sam what happened. Sam replies, "Nothing special. I just wanted to hear your voice, Miss Manager." Hearing this, Maria from the other side says, "Have you gone mad or are you drunk?" Sam continues, "Actually, this is something I would like to say when I'm drunk, but it would be rude of me to say it when I'm drunk." Hearing Sam's words, Maria asks him, "What are you talking about?" Sam, who was lost in his own world, further asks Maria, "Can I come to see you right now?" Maria's heart starts beating fast after this. She asks Sam, "What happened that you want to meet me so late at night? If there is no urgent work, we will meet tomorrow." "How will you come to my house so late at night?" After this, Sam says, "You don't worry about it because I am already in front of your house, and I need maximum 20 minutes to tell you what I want to say. So please come out because what I am going to tell you will not be appropriate to do over the phone." Sam requests Maria to please meet him once, and he will not take much of her time. Hearing such words from Sam, Maria becomes even more worried. While there were many reasons for Maria not meeting Sam, the first and foremost was that she had taken off her makeup. The second reason is that she was in her nightsuit. The third was the scattered items in her apartment. But when Sam starts making too many requests, Maria gives in to him and says, "Okay, but it will take me 30 minutes to come down. Can you wait that long?" Hearing this, Sam flirtatiously comments that no matter how long it takes you, I will always wait for you. After this, Maria's reply comes that, okay, then wait. I am coming down to meet you in a while. And then she disconnects the phone, and after the phone is disconnected, Sam starts waiting for her outside. Sam was waiting outside in the cold, wondering how he would start the conversation when Maria came to him, and then suddenly he remembered a very old saying, if you come at 4 p.m., I will be happy from 3 p.m. And amidst all this, after a long wait, Maria arrives to meet Sam, all dressed up in makeup. She reaches there and calls Sam, who turns towards her and keeps looking at her. She then coyly asks him, did I make you wait too long? Lost in his own thoughts, Sam tells himself that when your love is in front of you, you don't understand what to say. Your heart starts beating loudly. Maria asks him again, why did you call me to meet you at this time? Sam replies, before I tell you anything, can we go somewhere where we can sit comfortably and talk? Maria gives her consent to him, and after that, both of them walk for some time and reach a park. Both sit on the swings in the park and start their conversation. Maria tells him that if there was something important, then we could have sat and talked in a cafe tomorrow. Hearing this, Sam says it's okay. This place is also good. After this, both of them become silent and start looking here and there. A cool breeze is blowing, and both are waiting for each other to break the silence between them. Maria shows some courage and asks Sam, so what was the reason why you called me here? Sam tries to tell the truth about why he has come there, but he is unable to do so and hesitates to speak. Then to change the topic, he gives the bag of macarons he had brought with him. While handing over the bag, he says, oh, I had completely forgotten this. Do you know from which famous place I have brought it? There was a very long queue to get it. Maria gets happy after getting the gift and says, then these must be delicious. I will enjoy eating them later. Then she smiles and thanks him. Sam also smiles and tells her that there is nothing to thank for. After this, both of them start laughing. After some time, when both of them stop laughing, Sam curses himself and says that this is not the reason he has come here. He will have to show courage to tell his feelings to Maria. After remaining silent for some time, Maria asks Sam, was this the reason you called me here? Sam doesn't say anything. He keeps looking at Maria quietly. She asks him, if you have said what you wanted to say, can I go now because it is very late? I will go and eat macarons comfortably. Thanking Sam again, she says, you are the only one who takes so much care of me. She then gets up from the swing and says goodbye to Sam and asks him to meet her in the office the next day. As she turns to leave, Sam holds her coat and tells her, wait a minute, I want to tell you something. This time it seems like Sam will tell her his feelings, but as soon as she turns and looks at him, he again forgets everything, and laughing like a kid, he says it would be foolish if we come to the park and don't play any game. Hearing this, Maria sits on the swing again, and he starts swinging her. As soon as the swing starts moving back and forth, he asks Maria, are you having fun, Manager Maria? Her expressions make it look like she is not enjoying it at all, but to keep Sam happy, she still says that she is enjoying it. Meanwhile, Sam remembers his love consultant Gia's words, that if a person is not even slightly interested in you, then you do not need to pay any attention to him. Sam gets a little serious after remembering Gia's words. He stops the swing and says to Maria, Manager, should we forget what happened to us that night? Maria already knew that Sam would definitely say something like this to her. She gets a little angry and asks him, what should we do if we don't pretend like this? Sam, who is showing some courage this time, holds the rope of the swing and turns Maria towards himself and tells her while showing some aggression that I don't know what is right and what is wrong. I don't know how to act in this situation. All I know is that I can't behave like this with you anymore. He further says that even if I want to, I am not able to forget what happened between us that night. Hearing this, Maria becomes silent. Her face turns red with embarrassment, and she starts staring at Sam. As Maria tries to say something, Sam interrupts her and says, I know this is all ridiculous, but do you have any idea how hard it was for me to forget that day? Because before coming to her, Sam had tried a lot of things like taking cold baths and eating spicy spaghetti, which he had read somewhere helps one forget things. After doing so many things and trying so many times, he could not forget anything. On the other hand, Maria felt that all this was a normal thing for him. After saying all this, Sam again starts speaking that now he knows why he was not able to forget all these things. Maria keeps looking at Sam in surprise while he further says that maybe because it was my first experience with any girl, it was special for me, and I am not able to forget it." Hearing this, Maria angrily shouts at him and says that you are lying. "This cannot be possible. This is your first time. You will have a lot of experience in all of these, because whenever there is a relationship-related matter in the office, everyone takes advice from you only." Scratching his head, Sam says that knowing about things and experiencing them are two completely different things. After saying this, Sam sits on his knees in front of Maria and lovingly tells her that if you really want me to forget everything that happened between us that day, then you will have to teach me to forget. He tells Maria that now she can understand why he wanted to meet her. After this, Maria slowly starts to understand why Sam was behaving like this with her, and then she suddenly says that she also doesn't know how such things can be forgotten. Listening to Maria's words, Sam becomes completely blank, and many questions are visible on his face. Maria understands his questions by looking at his expressions and explains it further to him that for all these reasons, she was pretending to forget all these things because she doesn't know how to forget things. Maria shows courage and further says that I want that. I should not forget that night for myself, and I hope that you also should not forget that night. After saying this, Maria becomes silent. On the other hand, after listening to all her words, Sam is left astonished because Maria also had the same feeling for him as he had for her. The scene now turns to Jin's apartment, where Gia was about to eat macarons. Jin was also sitting there and noticed her. As soon as Gia opens her mouth and takes the first bite of the macarons, Jin comments on her, "Gia, have you gained weight?" Jin's comment shows that he has no experience at all in talking to girls because no normal boy would make fun of a girl like this. For a moment, looking at Gia's expressions, it seems that this statement of Jin would be the last statement of his life. Gia immediately gets flustered and asks him, "Who has gained weight? Who are you talking about, Mr. Mitchell?" This time, Jin shows a little wisdom, and taking the name of the cat lying nearby, he says that I was talking about the rat. I think it has become much heavier than last time. After listening to Jin, she starts thinking that, maybe due to the wrong pronunciation, she heard Gia instead of rat. Ignoring Jin's comment, she starts telling him that the cat has probably gained weight because the weather has become cold. She further says that there are some animals that become fat during winter. Perhaps the rat is one of these species. Jin agrees with Gia, and then she sarcastically, smilingly tells him that if he wants, he can increase the temperature of the room to keep the rat healthy. After talking like this for some more time, both of them go to their respective rooms to sleep. Next morning, same routine. Jin wakes up in the morning and is getting ready for office, and Gia is standing behind him, smiling silently and peeking at him. As soon as Jin notices her, he asks, "Do you need anything?" Gia smilingly refuses, saying that she doesn't want anything. Jin gets up and moves toward the door to go to the office. Seeing him going, Gia says from behind, "Be careful on your way." Jin pauses for a moment, looks at his hands, turns back, calls out Gia's name, and showing his hand to her, he says, "Don't worry, I'll be back in a little while." Gia smiles as she bids him goodbye while wondering what has happened to the scoundrel. After this, Jin leaves for the office while thinking about some things in his mind and talking to himself. As soon as the rat comes near Gia's feet and starts meowing, the thought of the rat immediately comes to her mind that perhaps did Jin notice something? Because she had been giving extra meal to rat for the last few days. Jin had an automatic feeding machine for the rat that delivered food 3 times a day, 30 grams at a time, in a total of 90 grams per day. But Gia had been giving extra food to the rat for her own happiness for the last few days. And even now, on one hand, she is giving extra food to the cat apart from its diet, and on the other hand, all these things are going on in her mind. Gia felt that the amount of food Jin was giving to the cat was not enough for it, so she started giving food to the cat in a playful manner, and she was still sitting in front of the cat with a packet of snacks. Gia extends her hand and tells the cat to extend its right paw. Then she tells the cat to extend its left paw, and the cat does the same. As soon as the rat does so, she playfully grabs its paws and shakes it, picks it up in her lap, and starts caressing it lovingly. Seeing this feat of the cat, Jiho becomes happy and gives a packet of churro to the rat as a gift. As soon as Rat starts eating the churro, Gia wonders whether the rat has really gained weight. She says to herself that maybe I have given it too many snacks, but I also told it to work out. Maybe it did not do that. That is why it has gained weight. Gia picks up the rat to weigh it, and as she does so, she realizes that Jin was not lying. She also finds that Rat has actually gained weight. As she takes Rat to the weighing machine, she realizes that this weight gain does not apply only to the rat, as for the past few days, she's been ordering food for herself from an online app. As soon as she has a glance at the weighing machine, she gets a little scared, and her heart starts beating faster because somewhere she knew that her weight had definitely increased. She gathers courage and starts the machine by tapping it with her toe. As soon as the machine turns on, she becomes happy after seeing it and starts saying to herself that it is not possible for a human being to gain weight so quickly because the weighing machine is broken, and she is talking to herself like this to cheer herself up. But somewhere deep down, she knows that perhaps her weight has increased. So to know whether she has gained weight or not, she wears her old clothes and sees whether they still fit her or not. And to remove this dilemma from her mind, she tries on a lot of old clothes and she slowly realizes that all these clothes still fit her. After this, Gia becomes happy to know that she has not gained any weight yet. When Jin came home from the office, she was already sipping a green vegetable smoothie. She dramatically asked, "Can you make me another one?" Jin blinked in confusion. "Drinking smoothies that fast isn't a good idea," he said, raising an eyebrow. "Wait, are you trying to teach me about working out now?" Gia nodded confidently. "Exactly. You're a gym freak who loves working out and coaching others. So I figured, I'll just tag along." Suddenly, Jin grabbed her hand with a grin. "That's a great idea." Caught off guard, Gia flinched. Her overconfidence crumbled as she struggled to process what just happened. "Why did he grab my hand like that?" she thought, panicking inside. Jin, still smiling, added, "At your age, working out isn't a choice, it's a must. So when do we start? Today or tomorrow?" Now drenched in cold sweat, Gia wanted nothing more than to escape. "Why is this punk so serious about it?" she wondered. Maybe tomorrow?" Jin tilted his head. "Same gym as me? Or do you want to pick another?" It hit her. In her excitement, she'd forgotten who she was dealing with. Jin Minshall, the man who eats chicken breast even on holidays and squeezes in gym time despite a killer office schedule. The next day at the gym, after just a few sets, Gia was lying flat on the floor, utterly drained. Her soul felt like it had left her body. Jin stood over her, still full of energy. "Come on, we've got legs next." Gia looked up at him with wide, betrayed eyes. "Legs? We're not done?" "5 sets, 10 reps each," Jin announced cheerfully. "I'm done," she cried. "Nope, 1 more set." "But you said that was the last one." "You heard wrong. 1 more to go," Jin said, completely unfazed. Gia trembled but forced herself through the lunges. "Count properly next time," she muttered between gasps. After the gym, back at home, looking at the plate of salad and the infamous chicken breast smoothie Jin had prepared, Gia groaned. How does this man eat such tasteless food every single day? Her phone buzzed. Messages from Jin. "Don't forget to eat your breakfast on time. And walk around a little. Lying in bed will make your body stiff." She laid her head down on the dining table and sighed. "Where did I go wrong this time? This is torture." Then a thought hit her. All this effort, all this pain, it has to be worth something. I must have lost at least a pound. She rushed to weigh herself. Not a single ounce gone. She stared at the scale, completely deflated. That evening, the sky turned orange, streaked with a flaming asteroid hurtling through the sky. Gia and Jin sat together on the beach watching in silence. "Did you see that?" Gia gasped. "That asteroid might hit the Earth. This could be our last night alive." Jin stayed quiet. Gia leaned closer. "So what should we do if this is truly our final night?" Jin suddenly grabbed her hand and looked into her eyes with all the intensity of a K-drama hero. "Of course, we should do something meaningful." Gia's heart skipped a beat. "We should work out our legs," he said with a romantic smile. "What?" Gia screamed, jolting awake from the nightmare. She sat in bed, huffing and drenched in sweat. What a terrible dream, she thought. But then, her muscles ached from yesterday's workout. She moaned and lay back down, clutching her legs. Her alarm rang. Images of Jin's gym orders flashed before her eyes. "Let's go! 5 more reps!" "Salad is your best friend." "No pain, no gain," Gia groaned. "This isn't life. This is a gym cult." The next morning at the gym, Jin grinned as he looked at Gia. "Gia, today we're trying a new exercise," he announced. "If you do this for just 3 minutes a day, you'll gradually become super healthy." Gia confidently replies. "New exercise? Bring it on." Jin clapped his hands. "Plank." Without hesitation, Gia dropped into position, elbows on the mat, body straight as a board. With a smirk, she teased, "What? You think you can wreck me in 3 minutes? Jin chuckled, adjusting his glasses. You're not falling for that one, huh? Okay then, let's start easy. 60 seconds. Get in position. Focus on your back and the tips of your feet. The first few seconds flew by, but soon Jia's face twisted with effort. The plank wasn't as innocent as it looked. Her arms trembled, her abs burned, and determination gave way to regret. If I think about all the nonsense I've survived, this should be a cakewalk, she told herself. Plank, the most popular core exercise, the art of standing still while suffering. But reality hit hard. After just under a minute, Jia collapsed onto the mat like a rag doll, gasping. Some exercises are measured in seconds for a reason, she muttered dramatically. People doing this for minutes? They're not normal humans. They're probably cyborgs. She lay there like a corpse, the cause of death, plank and exercise-induced humiliation. Meanwhile, Jin was effortlessly chest-pressing weights that made the barbell bend, nearly 300 pounds. Jia stared in disbelief. How is he lifting that? Is he even human? Just as Jin finished his set, wiping his hands and adjusting his glasses, a beautiful girl in sleek gym wear approached him. Are you a personal trainer? She asked sweetly. Jia narrowed her eyes, watching like a hawk. Jin casually replied, Nope, not a trainer. Oh, but the way you were teaching that girl, she nodded toward Jia, with so much care, you seem like one. She tucked her hair behind her ear, eyes gleaming. I'm new here. Mind helping me with the machines? Maybe show me some exercises. Without thinking, Jin nodded. Sure, I'll help you. From across the gym, Jia's jaw clenched. Help her? Really? So where do you want to start? Jin asked politely. The girl pointed to the lat pull-down machine. Here. Jin sat on the machine demonstrating. Watch my posture. Focus on your stance. Target the muscles you're working. His tone shifted, professional and patient. Right now, think about engaging your back more than your shoulders. Hold it for a second above your collarbones. The girl giggled, impressed. You're so kind. And polite, too. Jia fumed, gripping a dumbbell tighter than necessary, her mind half on her workout, half on them. After finishing, the girl casually placed her hand on Jin's. I saw squats trending online. Can you show me how to do them? Her clothes. Is she allergic to fabric? Jia thought, glaring daggers. And Jin. Can't he tell what kind of girl she is? Oblivious to Jia's growing jealousy, Jin began demonstrating squats. When squatting, your core and posture are key. Keep your chest up, engage your abs, and control your movement. Watching them, Jia grumbled to herself. I thought Jin came here to assess me. But look at him. He started giving someone else free lessons. Her workout forgotten, she stayed locked on to them, jealousy burning brighter than the calories. While doing squats, Jin was effortlessly demonstrating the posture, his voice calm and instructional. When you go down, your thighs should be parallel to the ground. And when you stand up, your back stays straight, never lean forward. The girl followed his movements diligently, trying to mimic his stance. But in the next moment, thud, a faint sound of something hitting the floor caught everyone's attention. Jin turned toward the source of the noise. The new girl was on the ground, sprawled out but smiling sheepishly. I fell, she admitted, laughing at herself. Forgive me. It's my first time doing squats. I lost my balance. She tilted her head slightly, trying to act cute. Will you help me stand up? Jin smiled, offering his hand. It happens to everyone the first time. At a distance, Jia watched, her expression curled into a sarcastic smile. Look at her, acting all innocent. The girl clasped Jin's hand with both of hers, not letting go even after standing. With a playful grin, she asked, You are totally my type. What are you doing after the gym? Want to grab coffee with me? Jia's jaw clenched. Okay, now this is too much. She opened her mouth, ready to call out Jin's name, but stopped herself. What am I doing? She thought bitterly. Who gave me the right to interfere? We're only married on paper. No love, no real relationship. We also have an agreement to stay out of each other's personal lives. I promised, and I wouldn't cross that line. She turned away, deciding to pretend she hadn't seen anything. But then, Jin's voice rang out, loud and clear. No, I can't go for coffee with you. Jia's feet froze. Her eyes shifted back toward them, curiosity and confusion swirling inside her. Jin gently freed his hand from the girl's grip. His gaze was steady as he spoke. I can't go for coffee with you because... He turned toward Gia, walking over and placing a firm hand on her shoulder, guiding her to stand beside him. Because I'm married. Gia's eyes widened in shock. What is he doing? In front of everyone. All around them, the gym had fallen silent. People stopped mid-rep, turning their heads to watch the unfolding scene. As they both left the gym, walking down the stairs together, only one thing looped endlessly in Gia's mind. The way Jin introduced her to everyone. Her face burned just thinking about it. As they descended, she muttered to herself, if I fall down these stairs and die right now, can humiliation be listed as cause of death? Moments ago, she was green with jealousy watching that new girl cling to him. But now, she just wanted the ground to swallow her whole. Her mind spiraled even further. What does this idiot call me in front of his office people? Wife? Spouse? Girlfriend? Mrs.? Oh God. As these ridiculous scenarios played in her mind, Jaya absent-mindedly zipped her gym jacket up and down, the nervous energy pouring out through her hands. Then, without warning, she sat down abruptly on the stairs, tugging the zipper all the way up to cover her face. Jin, noticing she wasn't beside him, turned back with concern. Hey, Gia! What happened? Are you okay? Are your legs hurting? If they're hurting, want me to carry you home? Her head snapped up, eyes wide. No, I'm fine, she blurted, her voice high and awkward. Internally, she scolded herself. Enough already, I don't want this much attention, especially not from him. But as she stood up, her eyes couldn't help but drift toward Jin. No wonder he's so popular with the girls. Tall, fit, annoyingly handsome. Unable to hold back, she blurted, Hey Jin, does this happen to you often? Jin tilted his head, confused. What happens often? Gia hesitated for a moment, then asked, You know, like earlier in the gym, girls asking for help, pretending to be clueless about equipment, just to get close to you. Jin let out a casual chuckle. Ah, yeah, that happens a lot, actually. First, it's help with the squats. Next thing you know, they're asking me out for coffee, burgers, drinks. Gia rolled her eyes, muttering under her breath. Of course, gym flirts everywhere. Jin continued, amused. What I don't get is, they spend all that time working out just to suggest burgers and fried food after. He shrugged. Makes no sense. Gia smirked to herself. Yeah, but if someone offered you a protein shake, you'd probably marry them on the spot. Almost reading her thoughts, Jin added, Now if someone suggested a fruit salad, veggie wrap, maybe a protein shake, I'd consider it, but they never do. And after a few days, they stop showing up to the gym altogether. He sounded genuinely puzzled, like he hadn't cracked the code of his accidental popularity. Gia snorted internally. Yeah, right. You're the problem, Mr. Jin. You send girls running for their lives, you and your insane workouts. She grumbled to herself. People who don't want to work out don't last long around here. And this maniac who treats a broken elevator like a glued opportunity. Her legs trembled as they kept descending the stairs. Oh no, forget feeling relieved. My legs are shaking. This is not the time for mental peace. Her brain screamed in protest. I have to survive this torture again tomorrow. If this keeps up, I'll die. Why did I even ask him to train with me? I'm my own worst enemy. Lost in her internal breakdown, she suddenly noticed Jin smiling to himself. What's so funny? She asked, suspicion in her voice. Something good happen? Jin's expression softened, his smile surprisingly warm. Yeah, got to work out with you today. Gia blinked, momentarily stunned. Jin continued with that same ease. It's nice, you know. Working out's tough, but when you have someone with you, you feel good after. Breaking a sweat together, it's a weird kind of happiness. Gia's heart skipped for half a second. Stop. Not the time for feelings. She grimaced. I can't even bring myself to say I want to quit. I'm so weak at these moments. Defeated, she resorted to light punches against Jin's back, her frustration bubbling over. Jin turned and asks, What now? If you have a problem, use words, not fists. But Gia kept half-heartedly hitting him, her tiny rebellion, her only outlet for her grief, an inability to say no. Jin, completely unfazed, let her vent while they walked on, their bickering echoing softly through the streets. And so, their chaotic routine continued. More workouts, more unspoken feelings, more ridiculous fights. The next morning, Gia struggled to get out of bed. Her muscles ached fiercely from the past 2 days of workouts. Every movement felt like punishment. As she tried to stand, her legs buckled, and she collapsed onto the floor with a groan. Then she remembered what Jin had told her. If the pain gets too much, go for a walk. It helps ease the stiffness. Grimacing, Jia crawled on the floor, tries to pull herself upright. What nonsense, she muttered. So to fix sore muscles, I have to move them more? But despite her doubts, she dragged herself out of the apartment and made her way slowly to the nearby park. She began walking stiffly. Each step was a struggle, but as her muscles warmed up, the pain began to fade. Surprised, she picked up the pace, a light jog. Just as her body began to feel bearable again, she noticed someone approaching on the track, a tall figure in a hoodie. She slowed as she neared. Jia. She froze. The man pulled back his hoodie, revealing his face. Jia stared. She knew that face. It's been a while, he said gently. Are you okay? But Jia didn't reply. She turned abruptly and ran. Jia, wait, he called after her. I'm tired, she shouted without looking back. He chased her, but neither of them made it far. Panting and gasping, they slowed almost at the same time, both unfit for even a short sprint. Jia cursed herself. Damn cigarettes. I really need to work on myself. She looked back. The man, Yongduk, was lying flat on the ground, using an asthma inhaler. Before he could speak, she bowed stiffly. Permission to leave? He gave a half laugh, half sigh. No need to be so formal. If you want to go, then go. Live your life. He held out a business card. Here. It had his name printed on it, and beneath it, a tiny ruler etched along the edge. Isn't it genius? He said with a grin. A built-in ruler helps you measure anything on the spot. Jia blinked. Why? Would you put a ruler on a business card? He grinned wider. What do you mean, why? I designed it on purpose. It's called marketing. Thank you very much. Jia said nothing, just stared at him, unimpressed. What kind of weirdo walks around bragging about rulers on business cards? She tossed the card in her hand like she was about to throw it. Don't litter in the park, he warned playfully. She paused, annoyed, but didn't throw it. Then unexpectedly, his expression sobered. Are you still writing novels? She hesitated, then lied. I still write, but I have assistants now. They do most of the work. He smiled faintly. Just like the old days, when I was your producer and you were the firebrand writer. He looked at her with a tinge of regret. I'm still ashamed of how things ended between us. Jia didn't reply. Her gaze drifted to the trees, to the track, anywhere but him. Suddenly, Yongduk's phone rang. He glanced at the screen, then his eyes widened in panic. Crap, the project meeting. It's today, not tomorrow, he yelped. He jumped to his feet, brushing himself off. I've got to run, but hey, call me sometime, old friend. Jia stood still as he jogged off. She looked down at the card in her hand, then crumpled it. Jogging back home, she muttered under her breath, why the hell would I call him? Later that day at dinner, Jia sat at the dining table, her fork carefully slicing into the grilled chicken breast. She took a bite, chewing with surprising delight, followed by a sip of a thick vegetable smoothie from a wine glass. Across from her, Jin sat in his usual red t-shirt, unchanged, his gaze fixed on her. He hesitated a moment before speaking. You don't have to eat the same stuff I do, you know. The diet food. It's not necessary. Jia smiled. I know, she said softly, but I want to. Makes it easier to hang out with you, doesn't it? She raised the wine glass and downed the rest of the smoothie in one elegant gulp, placing the glass back with a satisfied sigh. Jin blinked at her, silent and visibly stunned. His mouth opened slightly like he wanted to say something, but no words came. He simply watched her as she resumed eating, quietly, gracefully. Later. That night, Jia flopped face down on her bed, her arms sprawled like a defeated starfish. Why do I do this to myself? She groaned into the pillow. Chicken breast and veggie smoothies? A flicker of sadness passed over her face. Her mind drifted to Sam, to Yongduk. Old friends, old emotions. Her stomach gave a hopeful growl. I miss chicken feet and cold beer, she muttered before quickly clapping her hands together and shaking them as if to exorcise the craving. No, I have to resist. She remembered Jin's words. You've got to kill the cravings. Think about your health. A knock on the door. She sat up groggily. Now what? Opening the door, she froze. Jin stood in the hallway, dressed head to toe like Michael Jackson. Her jaw dropped. He extended his hand toward her. Dance with me. Gia squinted in disbelief. You're kidding. Nope. She instinctively tried to shut the door, but Jin gently blocked it with his hand. Wait, just hear me out. Moments later, the two of them sat in silence on the living room sofa, several feet apart. Jin said to her, You looked kind of off at dinner. I thought maybe this would cheer you up. Gia turned toward him, incredulous. By dressing up as Michael Jackson? I saw it in movies, he said earnestly. When someone's sad, the other person does something ridiculous or romantic. They dance, they goof off. It helps. Gia blinked at him. He watches movies? Romantic ones, she thought. Aloud, she asked, Wait, you watch that kind of stuff? Like couples dancing and cheering each other up? Yeah, he said without hesitation. It happens a lot in Bollywood movies. They dance when they're sad, when they fall in love, when they break up. Even when people are chasing them with guns, somehow there's still choreography. Gia gave him a look filled with new curiosity. I'm serious, Jin insisted, suddenly striking a pose. They dance everywhere, so I thought, if it works for them, maybe it'll work for us too. Jin stood, spun once awkwardly on his heel, then extended his hand with a dramatic flourish. You really are something else, Jin. After sharing some warm laughs and childhood memories, Jin smiled and said, I have another way to brighten your mood. Curious, Gia asked, What is it? The next moment, they were seated in a fancy restaurant, with plates of mouth-watering pork set in front of them. A chilled bottle of beer arrived soon after. Gia's eyes lit up as her mouth watered. Holding her bottle high, she grinned. The one who lifts the beer first. Are you enjoying this too? Jin didn't reply. He just stared at her silently. Don't be so rude, Gia teased. We came here to enjoy, remember? It's our cheat day. We'll eat and drink whatever we like. Jin gave her a half smile. Just behave. This is a high-end place. Let's have some class, at least while we're here, she said. Whenever we try to have fun, you start with your boring rules. Suddenly, a song titled Good Day popped up on the karaoke screen. Without hesitation, Gia ran up to the small stage and began singing loudly, pouring her energy into the performance. By the time she finished, she had scored an impressive 98. Jin, meanwhile, looked visibly embarrassed. She called out, Your turn. Come on, sing something. No way, Jin muttered. Despite her pleading, he eventually managed to pull her down and escort her out of the restaurant. Outside, the night was calm, but Gia was still in high spirits. She suddenly tapped his arm and said, Let's play red light, green light. Before Jin could object, she darted ahead, calling out the colors like a child. Jin reluctantly joined her. After the game, Gia looked at him. Her smile slowly softened. You're really trying to cheer me up, aren't you? Jin didn't say anything. He simply looked at her, slightly surprised when she suddenly said, Thank you for all this. His brows rose. He asked, Are you sick or something? Gia was stunned after hearing this. He further says, You're being nice. People usually get sick when they act out of character. Gia replied, I do nice things all the time. You just don't notice. She added with a mock glare, And if you don't like me being thankful, close your ears. I'll say it anyway. Gia looked straight at him. Thank you for making my day, I promise. I'll repay whatever you spent on me. She turned quickly, a faint blush creeping across her cheeks. We should go home. It's late, and I won't answer any of your questions. I'm already dying of embarrassment. Jin opened his mouth to speak, but before he could get a word out, she covered her ears and shouted, La 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 la, I can't hear you. Jin gently grabbed her hand and turned her to face him. He looked into her eyes, serious now. I want to tell you something, he said, and this time, you will hear me. Gia blinked, surprised by his tone. He stepped closer, lightly holding her chin. Suddenly, Gia's mind wandered to a distant memory, her mother, her father, her little sister. She was 10 years old, curled up on the living room sofa. The glow of the television lit up their faces as some old romantic drama played. When the actors on screen kissed, Gia immediately looked away, flustered. She reached over and covered her sister's eyes with both hands. Why do people do that in front of others? She had asked. But her father, never one to miss a chance to tease, smirked at Gia and then leaned over to kiss her mother. Gia had squealed, turning away her face. Dad, Stop doing that in front of us. Her mother just laughed softly and pulled her into a side hug. It's how people show love, sweetie. You'll understand when you're older. That moment used to make her groan. But now, right now, it made sense. That very same warmth, that awkward flutter in the chest, Gia felt it now. The world fell silent as their faces neared. But just before their lips could meet, Jin pulled back with a strange smile and held up a loose thread. This thread was dangling from your top for a while, he said. It was driving me nuts. Gia stared at him, stunned and speechless. As Jin turned to walk away, her chest rose and fell, her lips parted to speak, but no words came. She took one sharp step forward. Then without thinking, without giving herself time to think, she grabbed him by the tie. The silk tightened slightly in her fist as she pulled him down to her level, their faces inches apart. She tugged the tie just a little closer, and with that, she kissed him. This time not shyly, not gently. It was bold, directer, full of emotion, no more hesitation. Jin stood completely still, like a statue. A gust of wind blew through the street, knocking Jin's head away, but he didn't even flinch. The kiss slowed. Gia slowly pulled away, her heart racing. They looked around. People were staring. They both coughed awkwardly, pretending nothing had happened. Thanks for watching and comment the best part of this video.